Let's double check to make sure that this is live. If anybody wants to check the stream, I did post it in the announcement, so let me know if it's actually going live. It should be going live about now. But welcome to my tiny corner of the internet on the second show of Wage Rage Radio. Anybody is free to come on the stage, and the reason I'm kind of starting this stream at this particular time is so anybody can come up and kind of share their experience on what brought them to this side of the internet, what brought them to talk about the cost of living crisis. So anybody's free to come in the chat. If you are interested in joining the Discord server, if you just go to the link tree in the description of the video, you can find an invite link to the Discord server if you want to come and hang out on the stage. What's up, Riley? Welcome to the chat. What's up, Research? How you doing, indeed? But yeah, it's Friday. The waging has officially ended and the weekend has started. So welcome to the stream, everybody. Hope you're doing well. I have some guests coming on this stream, some people that I kind of want to introduce. If you haven't noticed, Ghost Thread, I have them on my recommended channels and the homepage of my channel. Ghost Thread's another content creator that I like. He talks a lot about, you talk a lot about a variety of things, but one of your latest videos was like very pro-working class, which I actually did enjoy. The one talking about like the lie that they're kind of trying to funnel people back into like blue collar work, but they're lying about college. I did enjoy that video. That one seemed to be doing pretty well on your channel. So if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, you know, Ghost Thread is here in the chat with us today.
Hey guys, I'm Ghost Thread. I am not sure if you know my age. I'm about 28 years old. I'm from Georgia, so I am an American commentator, I guess.
No way, I'm from Georgia too. That's so based. Small world, man.
That's crazy. What part? No, you don't have to
I'm
dox
from the
yourself.
Valdosta area, but you know I won't get too much into it. If you know where that is.
I'm like, yeah, that's where the college is up there, Valdosta. You know.
Yeah. They have like wild adventures that really kind of like redneckish, like water park and stuff like that. But yeah, small world.
That's
dang,
insane.
man, a lot of Southerners in my chat. Like, welcome to the chat, guys. You know, I do appreciate that. It seems like a lot of people. It's like cost of living has gotten so bad that even like, you know, the people that said like, you know, don't talk about stuff are kind of coming to wake up to the cost of living crisis. So welcome to the chat, man.
It's supposed to be cheaper. That's the thing. In the South, it's supposed to be cheaper here. And it's way too expensive. So you really can't turn away from the pain that the affordability crisis actually causes, because gas, food, you see it every day. But I am in the South. I'm actually up in like the Gwinnett, Beaufort area.
I know that. I've been to Atlanta before. That's like right on the outskirts of there. That's right up to the northeast or whatever. Okay, yeah.
Yep. Like 40 minutes north of the downtown.
Yeah.
But yeah,
By the way, I love Beaufort. I just want to hop in and say that Beaufort is such an awesome area.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Lake Lanier is nice.
It's nice. But yeah, I'm from Georgia, and I kind of got into this section of the internet because I entered unemployment over a year ago now, and I left my job because I thought my job to me was like a microcosm of what's happening now in all of work. I worked about 6 years in broadcast engineering. So a lot of telecommunications, central casting, live streaming infrastructure that you see a lot in TV. I did all of that. And I noticed that essentially my space of work was dying. Like no one does central casting. No one watches cable. And I saw the effects that a dying industry had on people of all ages. It really incentivized companies in my sector to hire people that they didn't care about. And it incentivized them to treat the workers they already had for a long time worse, because they've already aged them out of the active, healthy job pool, and now they're holding retirement benefits over their head. So they would have people in their 60s working like 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, because we were so short-staffed. And at that point, it's like you can't do anything. You're already old sack of bones. You're not as mobile. You have to stay there for your retirement. You have to stay there for your Medicare. And I saw them really just manipulate people through bad work practices. And I'm like, I'm young. I can still get out of this. So I kind of took it on myself to go into entrepreneurship. And it led me down a path of like, I was already big into tech. I was home labbing. My plan before I realized how bad the job market was to become like, kind of do the whole IT, run through everything.
Everybody
did
does
not
that.
work out. Yeah, did not work out.
The job market is just bad everywhere, man. It's like, it's even bad with engineering. I'm professionally an electrical engineer, but even that is like, it's not as stable as it used to be. Like, it used to be a stable job that guaranteed you a good income. You were going to guarantee to be upper middle class in a sort of sense, but even that's been hollowed out, because just, the standard of living just keeps going down.
Well, it's the same case with broadcasting, because when you think of broadcasting, the central casting again is irrelevant because nobody has cable TV. But like my last major contract before I fully stepped away from the field was like I worked at Warner Brothers. The big downtown office they have in Georgia. I had like full badge access. I was doing contracts for them pretty repeatedly, like 6 month contracts that paid really well, really decently. But back in the day when they cared about broadcasting and it wasn't all contractors, you could get a full-time job with pension, with retirement benefits, with travel benefits included, because my job did require me to go to certain sports games and stuff. But now the job is so worthless, the title is so meaningless that like you will get paid probably regular industry rate. You'll have a 6-month contract at best. After that contract, they're not going to keep you on, so you have to restart the process. You'll never be in a position to gain benefits. And when I really worked it out in my head, I was like, I'm better off at least attempting something on my own. If I'm not going to have benefits anyway, like if you're going to string me along to not give me healthcare, not give me benefits, I might as well invest into something that I can actually scale up rather than trying to get a contract and then not getting a contract, freaking out about that contract, having to take a worse contract in the meantime until that position opens up. So I kind of feel like I was forced in this position, I usually did not care about the state of the world because I was like one of those,
same.
I got to make it myself.
Yeah, my latest video saying the exact same thing, man. I was like, I don't care about politics. The funny part is, if you look at my earlier videos, like one of the first videos on my channel was me interviewing Professor Paul Cockshott. And most of you might not know who that is because I actually dabbled in the debate sphere. I was interested in economically left ideas from a speculative point of view. This is before, like, things started going crazy. The cost of housing, went crazy, like, back in middle of 2022. And what dragged me into politics was, originally it was speculative kind of entertainment of thought, okay, these ideas are different, they're kind of interesting to me, like central planning is an interesting concept and stuff like that. But as time went on, as house prices like skyrocketed and they just kept going up and the cost of living just kept getting worse, it's like I stopped caring about like the political circle and I started looking at like the cost of living crisis, realizing like we're all toast. Like future generations are never going to be able to own their own home. And essentially it's like the incentive structure started to change. Like, well, now these things like affect me on the daily manner. And so like politics was no longer the speculative thing. It's like it's directly affecting all of my life. I even had a post on my channel talking about gas prices. I was even taking a break from my channel because I don't really care about politics, beyond that, other than like a couple of speculative things. But because like, gas prices surged, it's like you feel like you're just sucked back into politics again. It's because the fact is we're ruled by a group of people that quite literally, possibly enjoy our suffering in a sort of sense. Like I'm in the same camp as you, man. It's like, you get sucked into it is because the fact is not because you want to or you really care about it, is because at the end of the day, most people just want to live their lives and be left alone. You're kind of sucked into it by circumstance. And that's the terrible thing, is because most people just want to be left alone at the end of the day.
Would love nothing more to pay my bills and that's it, Like I don't want to have to worry about how much I'm going to have left over after I pay bills, if it's going to be enough to cover rent. Oh, the rent just went up. Like, yeah, just live a life of not being in a constant panic would be great. But I'm real, like as you said, they do enjoy watching it, but they enjoy watching it because I think when you get to that level of power, right, when you're able to determine like essentially make the moves that cause who eats and who doesn't, you really do view it as like a let them eat cake. Like I guess they're having a hard time, let me try to focus and make it better. But you're never gonna make it better. Like it's always the end goal for the system that we have is to always extract a little bit more. And they'll use the argument like, when you see, Gen Z spends a lot on the credit, they buy everything, buy now, pay later. Yeah, it's, well, like, why are they doing this? Why is credit usage at an all-time high? It's because the amount of dollars that you get from whatever you do is not enough. So to even supplement a lifestyle, even if it's for dumb purchases, 90% of the time, you're hearing, especially now, that people are like using Klarna to pay for diapers. So when you expend all the actual money you have in your bank account, you have no option but to turn to the credit that's always available to you, but is always like kind of a foot on your neck. So this,
I'm the subject matter of Klarna and baby diapers. That's all I was gonna say. It's and that's just a small piece of the pie of why I'm here. Is like, fucking it's it's kind of a fucking trap, and I just don't really agree with it.
That's the thing. It's like what kind of really kind of consolidated me back into this sphere, and it because like it's kind of ironic because I talked about economic leftism in my early days on this channel, you know, from like a speculative, like, okay, it's kind of an interesting thought to be entertained kind of thing, but being sucked into it by necessity and circumstance was like I was like they pulled my remote work perms, and I have to like spend like a significant amount of time commuting. There's like a meme that was circulating on like Twitter saying like all your money goes to boomers or some nonsense, and I was like, this one hurts. I was like, Jesus Christ. It's like, you know, all your tax dollars and you barely getting by, and then boomers are getting Social Security and Medicare while, you know, I have a high deductible health plan that, you know, you're paying out the pocket just to like get some health care. It was absolutely insane. And so it's like, you know, I kind of realized it's like, as much as things suck, it's like, you know, you really don't have a choice but to engage in this politics. And that's also partially the reason why I created this as a roundtable. Like, anybody's free to come to the chat if they want to share their experience. I know, like, you know, everybody is here nominally because at one point or another you watch something skyrocket in price, or something, you know, may have happened to you that just kind of brought you in this content sphere. It's just the fact is that, like, you know, the cost of living has gotten so significantly unbearable that you have been forced with no other choice but to participate in economic politics because you don't really have a choice. So what other thing is there? Just continuously bury your head in the sand. I did that for like 5 years. I bet you most of you did that, you know, burying your head in the sand for 5 years and hoping it would get better, and then it never did. It just progressively got worse. And that's the problem. It's like, you know, people are just kind of waiting this out, but waiting this out, things just continually to get worse. Like what I Should Be Sleeping said, you know, we're the frog, but they know we're being slowly boiled. So that's why we're all here in a sort of sense.
And I also think to the economic politics part, I've always kind of been in a weird spot with politics. I think earlier I said I was politically homeless, but in the sense that I've seen both sides evolve in my lifetime. Like I've seen an Obama democracy, and then I've seen a Trump Republican Party. So to see them transform, honestly, not too much from their predecessors. Like if you look at what Bush did, it's kind of pretty, you know what I mean? It kind of falls down the Republican playlist. And if you look down what Clinton does, it falls down the Democratic Party that, you know, came after Reagan. So to live through the effects and see that, I think you realize, oh, we're just going to talk. Like, we're just going to keep talking, right? We're just going to keep talking no matter how bad the situation gets, because any change that really needs to be made will never actually be talked about. So I think when Trump came in and I saw the culture war, I kind of fell for it. Like a lot of young men, I feel like I played into it, right?
Because in my early days, I got sucked into the anti-SJW circle. I was a big watcher of Sargon of Akkad, Undoomed, and I like that slop space back in the day. I'm ashamed to admit it, but I was really into that. Is because I was like, you know, these SJWs are crazy, and I kind of fell for the culture war stuff back in the day too.
Well, the thing that really disappoints me with that stuff is me. You know, like I don't know if you can hear my voice, but I'm African American, right? So when I was younger, but when I was younger, I didn't realize I'm really not one that likes to talk about race, but I never realized the underlying tone of what those videos were saying, right?
Yeah.
Especially as somebody who also comes from an immigrant background, I didn't realize that it's like, we're not actually fixing problems. We're not trying to fix problems. Like, we want to live in a fairy tale land where we're going to ask for wishes, but we're never going to actually try to fix the current situation or make any progress in this structure that we have now. So it really, when I was watching that stuff growing up, Sargon of Akkad, the Information War, all the hosts that used to be on Information Wars that made their own YouTube channels, just the conservative wave that popped up, you know, the right that it is currently. I remember like, okay, these people are, I don't know, I guess fighting for me in a sense, because they're at least on the free speech side, which is, I guess, the trick that they got a lot of people under. But then the more
that one bought me too, and then they just kind of use that narrative to shut other people down in a discussion. It's like, and you start going against their grain, it's like then they'll say that you're against free speech or nonsense, and that got old
very fast. Because before it was, you weren't extreme enough, like you weren't willing to talk about the topics that needed to be talked about. But then now it's turning into like, you're not talking about it in the same amount of like inflammatory manner that I'm doing it in. And I don't know, I just don't think that, like, well, both systems just kind of showed their hands. The left was like, we're not going to make any changes and we want to censor your speech. And the right said, we're not going to make any changes, but we're also going to make sure that we like slap your hand as well.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
said to the left for years, and when I was just like a normie, like right-wing libertarian, I said you're not going to want to have the censorship stuff. It's like it's just going to be used against you. It's going to be used to censor you. You can't play that game, and essentially, it's like as soon as they lost the cultural majority, that started to be what happened. It's like the thing is, the left kind of just makes itself its own like worst enemy. Like I said, in my last video when I talked about that Joker movie, I talked about how I went to a DSA meeting in like 2017 or whatever when I was in college, and when I first heard, and imagine being like a right-wing libertarian in the middle of the culture war stuff, and they say we snap instead of clap is because clapping is triggering. Like, how would most of you react to being told that? You're like, this is dumb, I'm leaving.
Well, that's the part I never understood about like the left that would organize, because especially living in Georgia, I've met a wide spectrum of people, right? I've met like the most conservative, and then I've met like fully transitioned woman who works at Fox Theater for free for community, like just for a community organization. So I've met like the left of the left, and I never understand where that like when you talk to somebody on that side who's deeply invested in the politics, they're very radical in thought, but then they're also the most sanitized version of radical you could ever create. So like if it's not fully scheduled or programmed, they can't do it. If it's outside of organ, like outside of something super planned or staged, and they just can't do it. There's no sporadic like kinetic energy that the right has, which I think that's what's really missing. There's really just no kinetic energy inside of like what would be, you know, left-wing politics.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. It's like a lot of the problems like leftist organizing, and in my earlier videos I criticize this because I've kind of dealt with like the left, because like fun fact about my content creator histories, because I did start out in the debate sphere, I did start out in the political sphere. You can probably see me debating Destiny like ages ago or whatever, right? The thing is that when I first jumped in the political sphere, I didn't understand the nature of the left. I had always kind of assumed that they cared about economic things, but the thing is, a lot of the problems, like the shortcomings of the left, is that they just didn't talk about it. They would say that they cared about the working class, but they would only do it in a very abstract notion. And it kind of left me a little bit irritated, just because they would say they care about working class issues, but they would never actually talk about it. And that was the problem I had left. That's why I ended up going my own way. The thing about it is, like, the left was kind of woefully impotent, is because they'll talk about caring about the working class in an abstract notion. They'll talk about organizing, but then they never do. I got in so many arguments with different leftists. You know, they would jump from one circle to another saying, like, unlike all the other leftists, I'm going to organize. And they're just, you know, after they get burnt out joining one group and not having clearly defined goals to actually achieve political action, they get burnt out, lash out at everybody, and then jump to the next circle that they get infatuated with. And that got like irritating, because that was the problem with the left. The problem with the left is they want to organize, but the thing is they don't have clearly defined goals or metrics to achieve results, and they end up like getting frustrated, burnt out, and leaving, and then just circle jumping in a sort of sense, action selling, as I call it. And that's the problem with the left, is that like the problem with the left is they just don't really focus on like what's a good actionable goal and an idea to go with in the first place. They focus on like, I want action. It's all thrust, no vector. That's the problem with the left.
Yeah, actually, very, very well said, actually.
Yeah.
And then you see it with the
oh god,
you see it with the results they want to. As I said, there's no way to measure them, but the way that a few do measure them, it's like it's this all or nothing mentality that always ends up with nothing. Like,
yeah,
we're never going to push it hard enough for all of it to happen, so we'll just be okay with nothing happening.
Yeah.
And someone's going to take your cake. If that's your plan, is just have nothing happen, then someone's going to come through and push your house down.
Yeah, essentially. And that's kind of the problem. Like, that's why it's like, if I were to ever start like a workers' party, something that helped, you know, workers and unions kind of deal with corrupt bosses or employers or landlords or something like that. It's like, you know, any organization has to have clearly defined goals. Otherwise, people are going to get frustrated and leave. That's just a fact of life, right? You know, publicity is one thing you could basically use to kind of like, you know, keep people in line. Like, you want to expose a corrupt landlord, it's like, you know, you can just publicize their dirty air and, you know, use that as a leveraging bargain to basically get them to do repairs. There's ways to politic and getting the ruling class to do what you want. And that's something the left just doesn't think about, is because, again, all thrust, no vector. I mean, you know, the whole reason I wanted to start Wage Rage Radio, and I still say it again because like more people are kind of joining in the chat, is that, like, you know, when you look at like all the other content creators, all the other media personalities that you see on the internet, like the Dave Ramseys and like, you know, the Dave Rubins or whatever, right? You know, their advice, whatever financial advice they're giving to you, is so divorced from the reality that all of us are living in that they're just not worthwhile engaging with. Like, cut down on avocado toast, cut down on lattes so you can buy your first house. It's such nonsense that it doesn't even make sense. because like the reality that they lived in, it's like, you know, there's a couple, I saw somebody on like Twitter or TikTok, and they're like, this is the house that like my parents bought off of like, you know, 2 public school teacher jobs. Like it was a lakefront property that was worth 1.2 million at that point. And so the thing is like they could, you know, afford these things in their time. So the financial advice is just going to be a reflection of the times that they lived in, particularly Dave Ramsey. So like that's the thing that everybody needs to keep in mind. With that being said, you know, it's better to share pragmatic advice amongst each other, is because the reality that we live in is fundamentally different than the reality that they lived in, and it's just better to bypass all the gaslighting that generation does to us and just kind of establish a new set of ground rules, like first by sharing experiences, and second, you know, figuring out like pragmatic ways to navigate this new world that we've been given. And the funny part, as much as I talk about collective action, I do want to kind of talk about like individual solutions, right? Is because at the end of the day, like, you know, we were a generation that was given a short straw. Like we are not going to have the same standard of living as our parents. And so the thing is like, while it's good to talk about collective action and starting a workers' party, people also need individual advice as well. It's like, okay, you know what? You've been given a raw deal. You've been given the short straw, right? You know, here's how I as an individual kind of get through the daily affairs, like by going to the gym, working out, living healthily, having a disciplined sleep schedule. It will go miles in a sort of sense, even though it's like small. They do help out a lot in a lot of senses if you're able to have like a modicum of discipline. Is because at the end of the day, you've been given a raw deal. You've been given the short straw. But at the same time, it's like if you remain bitter about the situation, it can end up destroying you if you're not careful. And I know, because I've seen it in my own comments. There's some people are very angry about the situation, and you have every right to be angry. But at the end of the day, you need to find a modicum of peace and kind of temper that hate with discipline, because you'll end up burning yourself out of frustration. So that's why I wanted to create this. Anybody's free to come on stage and share their experience. Like, I'm going to go ahead and open up the stage. We're going to do it based on this rule, is that, like, you know, we're going to have maximum of 7 or 8 people on the stage at any time, so it doesn't get overly crowded. You know, if you hang out on the stage too much, but you don't really say much, we're going to put you back in the audience. But you're free to come back to the stage if you want to share your experience and share your thoughts. Anybody's free to come in. That's the point of starting Wage Rage Radio, is that we can share experience and ideas with each other outside of what, you know, the Dave Ramsey types are doing.
I'll just come clean. Fucking, is what you were saying earlier. I'll just say that I was in that space of like burnt out, of essentially like a recovering, over socialized like midwit. And, you know, I was watching all those reactionary influencers, and then, you know, just people who just cater to certain platitudes. And then, you know, at some point I found myself, looking for that peace and looking for that balance, as you were just stating. And then I found myself here, and I really do enjoy the ability to not be so rigid. That's my fucking problem with this culture. So, yeah.
Yeah, and at one point or another, it's like, you know, I said it in like the last stream, okay, and like, because like I've talked a couple of videos talking about young men and the shit that they go through. The fact is that they have an elderly generation that's gaslighting about how bad things really are, right? They're also being made responsible for their own situation by elder generations, and being told that they're losers by just pure circumstance alone. That, you know, through avocado and like, you know, toast and lattes, that, you know, this generation is responsible for their own suffering. It's ironic. We've all seen the meme that boomers like to say that, you know, weak men create hard times. They love saying that statement, but the funny part is they don't have the introspection to realize that they were the weak generation. You can kind of see in their mentality. It's like, you know, you look at them when they're trying to LARP like they're the greatest generation. They're trying to LARP like they're the silent generation. It's like, do you think anybody in that generation would want to be in that generation? Like, think about it. If you were a part of the silent generation, you grew up with World War I, of the Spanish flu, the Great Depression, and then World War II. Nobody in that generation wanted to be a part of that generation. It's basically stolen valor that boomers are doing. And the funny part is that, like, while they're doing that, their parents would probably want to smack them for wanting to live in that generation, because I bet you their parents would rather be in the boomer generation than in the silent generation, because what in their deranged mind would want to go through all that sorts of stuff? I've seen boomers on Twitter talking about, like, this is the world I grew up with, and they're like born in, like, you know, 1943 or something like that, or maybe like a little bit afterwards, and they're posting pictures of World War II. I'm like, bro, you were 2 years old when World War II ended. Like, you're not that generation, okay? You know, the people now, the Gen Zers now, have more in common with that generation than you do, just because the fact of the cost of living crisis. That's why they're embracing the same politics as that generation, but they'll never admit that. It's funny, it's because they say that the politics politics that they advertise is so far from the politics of that generation, but they like to pretend that's that generation's politics. But the more important thing, the moral of the story that I want to talk about when it comes to that thing, okay, is that at least with the silent generation, the greatest generation, is they recognize that things suck, but they tried to build a better future for their children. And that's the important thing that I want people to kind of walk away with, because it's understandable to be hateful and bitter about the situation, because we've all been given the short straw, but whatever change that we enact is not going to be for our generation. It's going to be for future generations. And that's something you have to make peace with, is that any benefits that come from a political movement are not going to be something that's going to benefit us right now. It's going to benefit future generations.
That's actually the bitter pill to swallow for a lot of people when you tell them that, because as you experience it, you hope for change to come like in your lifetime, but really someone has to lay the foundation for change to ever happen. So it doesn't mean you have to live in total decrepit decay and just a painful life, but the utopia that you may be hoping for, the change that you are wanting to see in the long term, is exactly that. It's long-term change. So it takes a lot of investment to get there.
Yeah, we have to see ourselves as civilization builders of the future. That's just the fact of reality. And like, one can be angry about the situation, about being given the short straw, or they can just kind of grin and bear it and realize that they have to be the strong men to create the good times. It's just a reality. It's not saying that, you're given this by circumstance, not by choice. Just like the silent generation didn't choose to be born in that generation either.
I'm going to be quite honest about what you're... Sorry.
Oh, go on, Ray. I'm good.
I was about to say, I will fully admit, you were talking earlier about the comments, the vitriol, the hatred. I'm going to be fully honest. I have completely devolved back into that after I work, as I said, I work fucking every day. It sucks, man. Like, I am just so bitter at everything, and I'm barely making it, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people. There are so many more young people that I know that I ever thought I would ever know that work 7 days a week. Sometimes, like, and mostly it's not like little 5 or 6 hour days. There are some days like that, but there's a lot of people I know that work 7 days a week, and they're approaching 9 to 10 hours a day. That's not sustainable. That is going to lead to a pent up rage that I just see building, and it absolutely frightens me, because I just know there's nothing I can do but stand out of the way and hope I don't get caught in the
easy. Because like, the thing is that most people think they're so used to like the can-dos and the fucking establishment dipshit saying that, like, like all the frustration and rage that you have, you'll never be able to seize power, and it just kind of boils over into a hatred against system. Yeah, I'm sorry, I haven't read the chat lately. Sorry, Miss K. I'll be definitely paying attention. I've just been kind of stuck in the conversation on the stage, but I will read the chat more often. But the thing is, it's very easy to get embittered and then want revenge and, revolutionary violence. So the problem is that, like, I'm going to be honest with you, it's going to happen. And this is not Fed posting. This is just a recognition of reality, just how bad things are in the United States. There's going to be a revolution. And the problem is that if too many people get caught up into basically that kind of revolutionary hate, that kind of class hatred, it's like, at one point or another, it could get as ugly as, like, the French Revolution. And the thing is angry people, more often than not, will tear things down, and they won't realize that, like, that it's not making things better. That's why I'm trying to, like, point this out, is because at one point or another, it's like, what if we do seize power, okay? And you actually are able to actually do what you want to do. You have to make peace within yourself, is because it takes someone of special character to recognize that things are suck and actually try to make a better outcome, for the future, than consistently tearing stuff down. Is because, like, people have talked about and stereotyped the leftists of being like that a lot of the time. It's partially true. You can't always be perpetually angry. At one point or another, you have to be a civilization builder to try and build a better future for everybody else, and kind of let go of your hate in a sort of sense. If that sounds cringy or whatever, right? I get that sounds a little bit corny, when, cheesy, but it's true at the end of the day. Because, like, the thing is, if you're not careful, it's like you will just end up get a French Revolution too, and it won't matter, is because you're already at the top of the hierarchy. You've already seized power. Now you have to do civilization building, otherwise you're just going to end up like Robespierre. It's like, you can't just go, full TPD and then, like, not build anything good about civilization. You're just going to get your head chopped off on that one. That's what happened with Robespierre. It's understandable why people are angry, but at one point or another, you do have to make a semblance of peace and recognize that yourself as a civilization builder instead of somebody always being angry. And sometimes a lot of my posting, and I'm a little bit guilty of this too, by the way, it's like, because I do kind of tap into that discontentment a little bit, and I've kind of used that to build an audience, but at one point or another, you do have to kind of, like, start looking at an alternative vision for a better future. Howdy, welcome, Noah. Oh, go on.
I was about to say, honestly, what scares me more about what's coming versus the revolution is, okay, everyone starts thinking that we're going to be going through another civil war. They think of the Confederate States of America versus the Union. That's just the default perception of what Americans think a civil war is. When in reality, based on what we're looking at, it is more than likely going to go to French Revolution. It's going to range between French Revolution and the Russian Civil War, where there was dozens of factions just fighting each other. Except for now, we got armored personnel carriers, we got full autos, we got so many people that have had nothing to do but think about different ways to kill each other because of anger.
What's up,
That
Toast? Welcome to the chat.
I truly see that this might end up being the thing that wipes us out. This is just my thing, because someone's just gonna eventually just flip the switch, and what is going to stop a rogue general who is just bitter, does not want to lose the war, does not want to lose everything, just flipping the nuke because he has nothing left to live for, and that's just going to set off the chain reaction.
Yeah, like that's always a possibility. You never know. Like so I said, it's like when I talked about in the last stream about revolutions, it's like as much as people are angry, I'm angry too about the situation, right? You have to be precise in the seizure of powers because you want to cause as little bloodshed as possible when you're trying to transition society. Like if I were to basically show up in power tomorrow, right? Of course, I would make it as quick as possible to start liquidating BlackRock. I'd pull people's investments out of BlackRock. I would take it out of their 401ks. I'd nationalize their company. And I would do a fire sale of their assets. And I'd probably throw Larry Fink in jail too, but that's, another task in itself, right? But the thing is, you have to do things smoothly, is because the fact is you don't want to cause like turmoil within society. You do want to be swift about it when you do actually take power. And nukes aren't going off. I don't know about that one. That one has scared me for a little bit, Ray, because the fact is you never know, like you with all cards on the table when it comes to a civil war or revolution.
Yep.
I mean,
And
what you're
as I
going to end up seeing is it's going to be a lot closer to the Troubles than it will be to the French Revolution. It'll be localized. Like, for example, people forget and people don't remember that in the 1960s, 1970s, you had terror groups that were actually focused on changing the perception and the way that America worked. The Weathermen, for example, even Charles Manson comes out of this to a lesser extent, but that's the way that these things are going to be perceived. Is it's going to be more like what happened, more like Luigi posting than anything else. And I don't think that necessitates what we fear, which is a massive civil war. Production centers have shifted, populations are dispersed. So no, it doesn't end up with a general being able to march in or even reflective of Syria, but it will look more like what we looked like in the 60s and 70s, which was a revolution in its own right and did result in better worker outcomes for at least a short period of time before workers were defanged.
Yeah. Like the interesting thing about like the sexual revolutionaries, so I've seen a couple of their content creators. I remember watching like a Caleb Maupin video like way back when in the day about like the synthetic left. And that's kind of an interesting one. I used to agree with it back in the day. But the thing is, I look back at it, and one of the things, and I do kind of want to make like a video response to that video, is that if you look at like the 1960s and the sexual revolutionaries and why you see a difference in mentality between, say, our generation, which is by far more culturally conservative and economically leftist, and that generation, which was more like neoliberal, is that if you look at the mentality of those people in the 1960s, particularly boomers, is that, they were, that kind of youthful idealist revolutionary mentality, but they were largely well enfranchised into the system. They could afford their own houses, they could have a decent job, and so whatever criticism they had over like the Vietnam War was largely from a like morally loaded language. But the thing about that generation is that as soon as they started coming of age and they went through these colleges and all that stuff, and Hillary Clinton's a perfect example of this, is that they were eventually enfranchised into the system, and they eventually had their slice in the system, is that they became pragmatic neoliberalists and just started exposing their own self-interest. And that's kind of the interesting thing. There's not really a conspiracy. It's just the fact is that enfranchised people tend to create post hoc rationalizations with ideologies that conveniently benefit them at any given point in time. It's like if you listen to the average boomer and their ideology of like, oh, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps, stop drinking like lattes and avocado toast, stop eating that. It's like they're basically just creating a post hoc rationalization of their circumstances in a sort of way to justify it. And so, you know, when you look at like boomers, that's all it is. That's their entire, like, that's just their post hoc rationalization of their existing material situation. And that's why the mentality of this generation is so deeply different, is because the fact is, it's like this generation is not doing it for a moral reason, okay, when it comes to embracing different politics. It's literally just a reflection of their self-interest. So the fact is that the average person cannot afford their own home to settle down and have a family and live a normal life, which was so easily afforded to people of the previous generation. That's all there is to it. That's the secret. But, you know, go on.
I was about to say, honestly, I was going to say you are going to see everyone, the reason you probably see a lot of people more conservative, or at least socially, and just in general about some things, is you got to think, let's say someone was born, like, I'm just going to use me. I was born in 96, so not super long ago on an actual generational time scale. But in that short amount, I've seen, my earliest memory is 9/11. Then I remember people's dads going over and just never coming back. And then you got the '08 crash, where you got to see your parents firsthand just get absolutely crushed by the system, and the same system protecting them. So it is just going to be building up. It is just building more and more steam and bitterness and just vile thing. And finally, when you start feeling like you're getting up and thing, we got hit by COVID, which completely side-railed so many people. And then you throw an opioid crisis and all this other stuff. You're just creating a nihilistic generation that is just going to look at anything that boomers did and just want to do the exact opposite. Not even just as that it might be right some of the time, but just as a more of a general fuck you to them, because they see them as their mortal enemy.
Yeah, that's kind of thing. People, what's up, Hyrulean?
What's up? So I've been watching your stuff on and off for a while, but I actually want to throw into that. So I'm 93, all right? And I grew up, you know, military brat. My grandfather was an 82nd jumper. My dad was a Marine. He went out after 9/11 hit. And I grew up in the military environment. Like, I'm too disabled on paper to join, but even if I was, fuck it, I never would. You've got so many veterans and military family, like military brats, that are looking at this, and they're seeing people who are coming back with their arms and legs blown off with PTSD. They're going into the military because, you know, family tradition or whatever, and they're coming back and they're not getting the medical help they need. They're not getting any job or vocational support that they need. And now you have an entire generation of people that know how to fucking strip down an M4 and rock a Browning. You think these people aren't gonna snap?
Yeah, I've tried to say this. That's kind of the funny part, is that, like, one of the reasons why my enemies hate me on this channel is because I point out this obvious fact, is that, like, the last group of people you want to disenfranchise are the people who carry the guns. They're, you know, that's not the Fed post. It's just a recognition of reality. This isn't the first time. There's like a couple of dipshits in my comment section. They're like, "Oh, that will never happen. It's never happened." Like, the thing is, they're used to the fabric of civil society, like protecting them and all these sorts of stuff. But that's because of the relative stability that existed in the 1950s, and they're forgetting what led up to that stability in the first place. It's like, if you look at most like European states, even in Yugoslavia, ex-Yugoslavia, it's like you don't see that stability, man. And so the thing is, people take the stability for Bosnia, fuck no. Yeah. People take that stability for granted, and they don't realize that it can go away really quickly if you're not careful, and you just keep pissing people off.
Oh, yeah.
Could I actually speak from my personal experience real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
All right. I also grew up in a military family, like parents were all military, grandparents, all that. And my older brother, he joined the army when he was like fresh out of high school. Yeah. And for the longest time, they were talking to me saying, "Hey, you should go join the army. It's great for community. You'll learn, you know, fucking recruiter shit."
Yeah,
they say that
stuff.
Like 4 years ago, that started slowing down. Nowadays, I asked like my older brother, who was, "Hoorah, let's go bomb the Middle East." He tells me flat out, "No, don't join the military. It's fucked up. Don't die for." He has directly said, "Don't die for Israel," which I would have never guessed.
He's right.
I would have not expected to be told that by like not everybody in my family's joined the military, obviously, but for these people who, for the longest time, they were those guys.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore, which is crazy to me.
I mean, it's so
Yeah,
bad that my
it's-
mom, who's like
Oh, go on.
typical Fox, it's so bad that my mom, like typical Fox News boomer, she's just going, fuck Israel. I'm done.
Yeah.
It's,
kinda
it's
interesting
wild.
because I
That,
remember-
it's wild. My mom's like 1965, typical Fox News type military family.
Yeah.
She's made a 180 in the past 3 years.
The
My
only
grandpa
time-
was straight up Israel's our greatest ally kind of boomer. Nowadays,
anymore.
he calls them a waste of taxpayer dollars.
Yeah, because most people don't
Honestly-
want to be fighting wars on behalf of Israel and then have people come home shot up for it, and then, you know, them cutting the VA. It's like the VA already fucking sucks. Like, that's kind of the funny part. Oh, go on.
No, it's okay. But the thing is, like, it's weird because I do watch military stuff like habitual line crosser, fat electrician, those kinds of people. And my dad told me a lot about how wars went down. Like Vietnam, for example. Yeah, we lost that, but kinetically we didn't. We won every single engagement. But the problem that America has is this whole, we need to sit around and build. No, we should have just gone in, fucking dealt with it and left. But we waste decades of fucking endless resources.
We don't go in to win. We go in for interests, which could be anything. So it's
Exactly.
like
It's all nebulous bullshit. And it's
See, I'm
like,
more of an
why?
isolationist. I think it's a waste of frickin' time and a waste of
See, I'm-
taxpayer dollars in the first
Honestly,
place. But that's like, again, Sun Tzu's like, you know, way of war. It's like, you know, if you're going to do a war, you got to do it quickly. You can't prolong it, because you're just going to lose political support. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. A lot of these things are a waste of time anyways.
Yeah.
You're absolutely correct. I mean, the thing is this, like, we're like, the Israel thing is $3 billion a year. Our Ramstein base, our bases in Europe, our bases in Asia, our bases in Africa, our bases in South America, each run us, I think, total cost essentially is somewhere in the high 70s, 80s of billions of dollars a year to essentially keep a network of bases that exist. There is no reason for that. There's a massive amount of resources just being spent elsewhere outside of the United States. Imagine 80 billion reallocated in the United States. That being said, you know, we have allies or whatever it is, but our interest isn't in, like, our interest is in keeping our allies purchasing weapons from us so that we can benefit from it. It makes no sense to give them freebies as we are doing.
Honestly,
Go on.
with it, I was about to say, I was going to tell you guys, just because we are all talking about how you have so many people who know how to use guns. Did you guys know at this moment now, there are more people with firearms than there have ever been in the United States, and it's not just Republicans, it's Democrats. Gun control is a dead issue. 2020 was the major wake-up call. Whether the left hated Trump or the right were scared of the riots, both came to realize that there's not enough police officers to come protect you. You are your best defender. I had so many people who were die-hard anti-gun, like doesn't even like muskets, coming to me asking me, "Hey, what would you recommend?" I took so many people out shooting. Like my mother-in-law, I took her out shooting. She hasn't shot in years. I took my father-in-law. I took my wife. I took 6 coworkers as a group out there, and there were almost every single one of them. As soon as they were done shooting, they went out and bought themselves a firearm, and then they saw firsthand of, hey, why is this taking so many forms? Why do I have this magazine cap of these? Why do I have to do this? Why did I get rejected? Oh, that was years ago.
Yeah.
So they are starting to see the control, and they're starting to go, fuck you, I don't want your control.
Gun control died
And they
as
just
a
keep
policy
pushing down
point.
harder.
2020 and onwards, people were like, it used to be such a big talking point in the 2010s, and that's kind of the funny part, is because like gun control is pretty much dead in the water nowadays. Like, not many people talk about it. Not even the left talks about it these days. Like, nobody really champions it. It's because the fact is, at the end of the day, like, people kind of realize it's better just to have like self-defense than it is to rely on anybody else.
Well, that, and also there's the fact that they used to point to like Europe and Australia and all those and go, look how peaceful they are, look how they don't have anything bad happen ever. And then
every other form of crime. And then things started happening.
And then the Russia invasion happened, and all of a sudden,
oh, that drives me up a wall, the Russia thing, because I saw so many people that were like, oh, America, stay out of it, suddenly go, hey, America, come help, please. Fuck you.
Yeah, no, like that's
Yep.
kind of thing.
Yeah,
It's a big waste of
absolutely.
taxpayer dollars. That's the problem that I have with it. It's like there's already plenty enough problems in the United States as is. Like, I mean, I've already talked about it even in the earlier part of the stream, but the big problem with the United States is that like the reason the United States is going to paralyze itself is just because of housing costs. Like, like it makes American labor uncompetitive in the long run. Unless you fix housing costs, you know, people are going to need higher wages to actually get by. No, I believe gun control laws are still getting passed because they're just doing it behind closed doors. I agree with you on that one.
Well, imagine
Did you guys,
imagine if we took the $60 billion that we're spending on foreign bases in countries that absolutely hate us, and imagine if that was spent on actually subsidizing housing for Americans, being spent on actually making Americans have homes that they're able to afford. And at that point in time, I think these problems work themselves out. I mean, if you look at Europe, like approval ratings for America or opinions about Americans amongst our European allies. I put allies in quotes, but amongst them, it's abysmal. It's 20%, 15%. Outside of Poland and outside of Romania, not a single European nation has a positive percentage opinion over us over 50%. And even if you say some of this is well-deserved, you're asking Americans to spend their lives and their money to essentially subsidize someone else's cost of living.
Yeah. And that's kind of the interesting thing is because, like, I think, like, this is going to be the end of, like, because the fact is, if you look at the map, like, how many American military bases there are across the world, I do kind of compare America to the British Empire of this century, but I think it's going to, like, wind down after this, and it's just going to focus more on domestic affairs. But the only difference is the United States has the choice to either kind of, like, fall down in line like the British Empire and just kind of remain a shadow of its former self with a guerrillian problems, or to basically solve things internally, but focus on more of, like, regional politics instead of trying to be, like, global police.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, it's not too late for us. I mean, Augustus, Caesar Augustus was able to rehabilitate Rome, which was in decline, by taking control of the situation, and was able to allow Rome to experience a second coming, and that existed for almost 300 years after his rise, and like Rome was the highest performing, down from a declining state. It's possible.
Welcome to the chat, Harris.
It's entirely
welcome to the stage. Hope you're doing well.
I feel like he has a harder task now, though, because if you look at
he does.
Well,
he does
the
have
current
some
America we
easier
have
tasks,
are
though.
just. Well, the current America we have is I guess the surveillance problems of those years were never thought about. The Romans didn't really care that they had a guard dictating their entire move. The moves forward for the American Empire, you have to ask the housing question, which is hard, the job question, which is even harder, and then you also have to tackle the coming surveillance state with the rights that you've already given away. So how do you make a populace that is used to some level of autonomy get used to a constant surveillance and a constant tracking of everything? I think that makes the financial picture of America versus any revolution that could happen look a lot different.
Yeah.
Because
and then
that's kind of the thing. So I was actually thinking about this because, like, if you were to talk about it, because, like, the big surveillance state is basically preventing most people from doing really anything, is because they're afraid of, like, oh, they said something yikesy or offensive. Like, I think it was, like, recently they're trying to do digital ID and they finally came out and said this is supposedly to counter terrorism, whatever. It means political dissidents and stuff like that, right? And so they're trying to snuff out any wiggle room to bring about political change as much as possible. And this is kind of an interesting question, is because I've seen it in my chat, like, a lot of times. This is a bit of a side one. This is a side note. But the thing is, I've seen a lot of people, like, even in my chat, talk about how they just want to kind of go off grid. But the thing is, I even made a video previously about that, how, like, police will literally just tear down your encampments and keep you on the move. And it's kind of an interesting one, is because the fact is, how is anybody supposed to get back on their feet if they're always on the move and they're kind of being pushed around by the police? Like, that's one interesting thing, that if you really want to kind of, like, allow people to go off the grid, it's just like allow people to go off the grid and, you know, just kind of check out of society. But that's the problem, is they don't want you to do that, is because they need you begging in the street, you know, for wages. So, you know, basically, like, homelessness is a humiliation ritual. It's kind of to show, like, other workers that, you know, if you step out of line, this is where you're going to get. Because if they really wanted to allow you to check out of society voluntarily, they wouldn't use the police to shut down homeless camps. Like, there was one, even in my earlier videos, like, you know, they need you spinning the hamster wheel. I showed that, like, some group made, like, a completely self-sufficient encampment, and they had to shut that down. Had running water and electricity and everything, but that's not enough. They need you begging in the streets and turning the hamster wheel. And so one thing you could possibly do to make it easier and give more wiggle room is just take over local governments and then just basically passing legislature to basically allow, like, these camps to kind of exist. That's one thing you could do. The only problem is, and this is the biggest problem, is that like, you have to deal with the drug problem. That requires tough policing. Like that's one thing I was talking with Empire a little while ago. It's like one problem that you could do, and this is an unorthodox solution. I was floating with a couple of buddies, is that if you took over like a local city council, like the homelessness problem, allow zones for like homeless people to set up encampments and do kind of like off the grid kind of stuff where they're not a public nuisance, but under the condition that they are allowed to be policed, and we crack down on any kind of drug or like, stuff like that, contraband, right? You crack down on that, but like, you get to have a place to like steadily get yourself back integrated on society, but also not constantly being moved around the police. That's one compromise I could think of.
That's like the notion
Honestly,
of there being a bad part of town versus a good part of town.
Yeah.
We've gone on this gentrification streak where we want to believe that the whole town can live like it's the upper middle class. And
yes,
that's just not how it works. Nobody wants to be the one that has the homeless people in their backyard, because in today's paradigm, as you point out, there is no policing. There is no assurance that they don't make a mess. I just got in to join the stream. I work for a railroad, as you can see on my icon. I was cleaning a section of track that's just full of trash from homeless people that show up. I don't even care if they're out trespassing on the line. I don't mind if they're around, but when it becomes my nuisance,
exactly,
to anybody, when it becomes their nuisance, the point of government is supposed to take care of these problems so that other people's rights to freedoms do not impede on our own rights and freedoms.
Let's go to the interesting thing, because Empire and I have gone to length talking about this, and I did want to make a dedicated video to this, a video essay later down the line talking about this. But the thing is that, like, you work as a railroad worker. Like, we're big on public transportation. I'm trying to do a collaboration stream with the American Rail Club in the future, and his channel. But the thing is that, like, I'm big, good public transportation, good urbanism. But the problem with like healthy urbanism is that you also need to be tough on crime, is because you can have as many trams and railways in the inner city as you'd like, but if they're filled with gang violence and drugs, it's like nobody's going to use it. You're not really having like the infrastructure being used by ordinary people, so you kind of have to make like a compromise to like where these people are not a public nuisance. But that's just my 2 cents on like how to structure it, where if you can basically, because the problem with the homeless population is that homelessness becomes like a cyclical thing. Like, you need a car to actually get a job, but you don't even have a job to get a car in the first place. So the homelessness trap is very much cyclical, where you get in one loop, it's very hard to get out of it in the first place. And so one of the things
my coworker would tell you, who is homeless, who was cleaning the track with me, I would say, sharper than what you said though, Alistair, it's not just actual homelessness and actual crime. Mm-hmm. It is the perception of crime. Back when I lived down on Long Island, outside New York City, it would, in the suburbs, the perception that going on mass transit would get you around those people. Yeah. And meanwhile, you'd go ride it, and sometimes you'd be like, yeah, there is some loony looking guy that stinks funny, but other times you'd be there and you're just like, yeah, it's not that bad. Have you tried taking the train once? A lot of the middle class voters of Nassau County give off an air of being out of touch with the realities of certain aspects around them, and I think that is in part because of the car-centric culture and the assumption that, you just drive to New York City. It's like, you live a quarter mile from a station that runs a train once an hour. What are you doing? But if you do not improve the perception in society that there are rules and that there is order, and that if you say good morning to somebody, they're not going to shank you, then you get the urban decay that causes things like mass transit to be underfunded, or causes there to be an uptick of preemptive strike violence.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Well, he's absolutely right.
Go on, I'll let you speak.
I was going to say that what happened with the Ukrainian woman who was stabbed, there has been a massive, ignoring whatever racial undertones there was for the attack, that dissuades hundreds of thousands of people from ever going on public transportation, and reinforces the belief that public transportation is dangerous and that you should take your car and that you shouldn't take the train or the subway or whatever it is. I know it did for me.
I mean,
I have to
nothing
take
even
the train
happened to the perpetrator. It was like, okay, so we have it on camera. It's clear as day that this was a deliberate attempt on somebody who did absolutely nothing wrong. Everybody else was just deer in the headlights bystanding. It's like, okay, any of you have a sister or anybody of the fairer kind, you'd say to yourself, like, geez, would I want them writing this?
Exactly. And that's kind of the problem. Unless if the most vulnerable can use this, comfortably and freely, like, that's going to be the problem with, like, any infrastructure project. That's the problem. It's also the same thing with, like, a lot of social welfare programs, because at the end of the day, it's like, you need to have, like, some level of discipline so that it gets allocated effectively to maintain a clean and healthy civilization. And, like, because as much as I'd love to have it, oh, go on.
I was about to say, I had two suggestions. Well, actually, a comment. There is an option. I do see there. I really think a way to redo the perception is a lot of the vets who are struggling with homelessness or something like that. Yeah. If we can they can do a job program to get them trained to do the CDL, to drive the bus. And I think a lot of people would be feel a little bit more safer because they have someone who actually knows what the fuck to do if someone gets crazy. Like, they have some basic idea of what to do. Like, it will give them a little bit of reassurance. That and most public transport do not allow you to conceal carry. So there is a large percentage of people who would love to take the train, but they're scared of breaking the law. Because more often than not, if you have to use your concealed carry in a place that's a no carry permit, you not only, like, even if it's a clear-cut self-defense, you run a very high risk of getting charged with a crime that will strip you of that right. So a lot of people are going, okay, I'm already having to skirt around different establishments that are no carry thing. Why am I going to put myself at my most vulnerable in a place where I can definitely not carry versus that little bit of self-perception?
Another
I will say,
thing is,
I
you
used to
mentioned.
work.
Oh, go on. I'll let you finish.
I'll just say real quick. I used to work at a gun store, and it's so funny. Right beside the concealed carry class pamphlets, they had a fucking lawyer, like a specific lawyer for if you get into these circumstances, and their pamphlet. And oh my god, it was just so ironic. Dude.
Highly recommend that. It's actually very, very cheap. It comes out to like $5 a month, and trust me, legal fees are extremely expensive for defending yourself legally before the law. Alistair, don't give any information that doxes me, but you will end up spending approximately about $100,000 just in getting a attempt to answer a charge against you if you commit some sort of gun violence or something of that nature. So,
gotcha.
And by the end of some of these trials, you could get up to $400,000, $500,000. So even if you're innocent, you walk free, you're not walking free from the debt.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem. Yeah. No, like, I don't share personal information, especially on a live stream, because, like, I don't know how many people are watching, but yeah, like a good amount of people, 120 people. I don't share people's personal details. Like, a lot of the times if I give a story, I usually kind of muddle up the information so it doesn't really get tracked back to somebody. But there's one thing that Ray kind of brought up a little while ago, talking about a civilian labor corps, and I know Bernie Sanders suggested a similar policy as well, is that, like, people getting out of prison, rehabilitating them back into civilization. It's like, a civilian labor corps could be an easy job, because let's be honest here, right? How many times have you gone into a major urban center and it smells like piss or shit, or it's just nasty? And why you couldn't just, like, payroll, like, a civilian labor force to keep streets clean? Like, essentially, at the day, it's something that pays for itself. A, people who are trying to get back on their feet can actually have a job to actually rehabilitate and get back into civilization. And B, you get to also have, like, clean streets. That's one thing I've been thinking about for a while. And I know, like, the prison system already kind of does this with prison labor, where you do, like, community service or whatever. But, like, actually, giving them the finances to actually get back on their feet is because we have a really bad recidivism rate in the United States. We hold 24% of the world's prison population, yet we're 3% of the global population. That's a massive problem. So, and I've been watching a lot of the, crime and, courtroom drama, videos of people, like, going before judges. And it seems to me, it's like, they do try to give people, like, additional chances to, like, rehabilitate themselves, at least from what I've seen. This could be a pedestrian point of view, looking at these court cases. It's just the fact is a lot of people crash out and basically recede back into like criminality, is because the fact is there aren't that many avenues to get back on your feet. Let's be real here. We're living in like the worst period in American history to buy a home. You have wild unaffordability, yet they're criminalizing homelessness. And so the homelessness. So the thing is like you're going down an avenue where people don't have a lot of tools to actually get themselves back on their feet. And so the fact is they're just going to go back into committing crimes over and over again until they end up getting a life sentence after they've just pissed off enough people. So maybe expanding the tools to basically reintegrate people. Yeah.
We have a prison system
Like the
designed to make the maximum amount of money for those who the shareholders of such prison by maintaining a system that makes no attempt at rehabilitation and also kind of doesn't really punish, because prisons, the whole reason we put people in jail seems to have been an attempt at a punishment. Wag your finger, don't do that. And then one part rehabilitation of, okay, so you done fucked up, you've served your time, don't do that again, have a good day.
The thing about that is that it's more used to get slavery and indentured servitude, because legally, let's if we go back to slavery in the Civil War, they couldn't really get you to do labor, especially after like the slaves were freed, so they couldn't get you to do as much. So they had to come up with another way, which is through prison, which basically they can just get you to do whatever they want.
There's been forced servitude, which technically would meet the definitions of slavery, all the way into the 1940s.
I mean,
I'd have
the
to
method that we're using
that,
essentially is timeout, and I'm not a big fan of timeout. I mean, Alistair, you know my opinion on this. What we really need here is essentially a baby society for someone to acclimate to. A lot of what happens with crime, and a lot of the reason why recidivism happens in the first place, is simply because these people do not have the tools, and also have antisocial behavior, and so essentially you're putting someone in timeout without teaching them how to avoid being put out and put in timeout again.
Yes.
Basically,
the method that we use in prison. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say it's basically just a humiliation ritual. They just want to humiliate you.
Would be a better punishment for most crimes than a prison sentence. There was a judge who was very, very successful in making people who, for example, did light crime like stealing bicycles, wear a sign outside of a bar saying "I steal bicycles." And the thing is this: we punish crime in such a inconsistent and short-sighted way. So, for example, if I sentence you steal a bike, you should absolutely be punished for stealing the bike. But if you stole that bike for X reason or whatever it was, because it's a bike, you're going to be put in jail for 30 days, misdemeanor, whatever it is, 30 days or less, and then you're behind on rent, so you lose the place that you're staying at, right? Or you lose your job because you can't show up for 30 days. So now you're being put back into a position that you will not survive in, and you're going to end up having to commit crime in the first place.
Yeah, and that's kind of the difficult thing, because
it
it becomes
about
very
the
cyclical.
system that we have is that you have to pay less. People who have less money pay more. That's just how it is.
And that's the biggest problem. That's like what leads to the largest amount of recidivism. It's like, it looks to me like, from a superficial point of view, looking at various court cases, that like it's not so much that like it's the judges or even like the judicial system. I mean, I've only seen a handful of petty judges. I've seen like 80% of the judges seem like they're very reasonable people. It's just the fact is there aren't the tools necessary to actually get people back into integrating in society, right? And we also take more of a punitive form of justice more than a rehabilitative form of justice, and that's the biggest problem. Like, the majority of crimes, when it comes to petty theft or stealing or whatever, right? The fact is that, like, okay, somebody gets indicted once. Okay, you can basically just kind of, they'll learn from their mistake and just not do it again. Like, the crime drops off, pretty quickly. The problem is that, like, at one point or another is when the justice system doesn't actually help the people who are committing crimes that are, you know, mostly should deserve rehabilitation. It's like they just get sucked into a cycle of, like, you know, recidivism, and that's the major problem. It's like, really, with only like a handful of crimes like, you know, rape, pedophilia, and murder, you know, would that require like extra care to be like, okay, you're just such an irredeemable piece of shit that like maybe you should just be expelled from society or whatever, right? Like, I don't know like how far it goes with TOS and what you can say about those people, but yeah.
I remembered this, but it was a weird thing, but I believe that they actually have less education in prisons than they did. They used to have like 30 years ago.
I could believe it.
I can believe that.
Yeah.
Because I remember,
thing
for
is
some
that,
reason, I
again-
remember they had education programs like in the 1990s.
We could
Well,
still
I
get
think the thing is that with private
Thanks, critical
prisons, there's
text.
less of an incentive to actually spend the money, even if you look at it in
I'll
the
take a
most
read it when I get a
cynical
chance. I just don't wanna
or the
put it
rational
on stream.
function. Yeah, I mean, the thing is even if you put it in the most rational function, the private prisons aren't going to spend money on resources that aren't going to go to their bottom line. So yes, they're going to take
Which is-
educational resources away.
Which is
but-
prison. Like they
But if you
want
look at
in
it even
jail
at
so
the
that
more
they can-
cynical point of view, recidivism works in the favor of private prisons. So why would they want to
It's
educate
all
you?
incentive structures, and that's kind of the thing. Like, in the United States, it's all about profit. It's like, that's the biggest problem with the United States, is that, like, it's all just going to basically fulfill somebody's bottom line. It doesn't matter if that's actually detrimental to all civilization. It's like, your taxpayer dollars are going to these people. These private prisons aren't actually making people, like, actually rehabilitate or even reintegrate back into society. They come out more fucked up than they went in, and they end up just causing more damage to civilization, all on your taxpayer dollars. That's the biggest problem with, like, the justice system, is that it doesn't really fix anything, and then the prisons are swollen with people who are just, you know, broken.
Yeah,
You don't
and
even
then you break them more.
Education.
I mean, you get out of prison and then immediately, well, not even, so you get your charge, you go to the system, you do your month, 6 months, and then when you come out, they put you on a 3 to 4 year probation at the minimum. And if you reoffend during that probation, you're thrown in again, repeat the process, and you're never able to really clean your hands of whatever crime that you did. Like, a lot of these people, their first crimes would be like in their early 20s, and they're still going to court for the same probation violations well into their 40s. So it's like,
Oh, I agree. I mean, so
how
I
to-
think the solution here
Found
ends up
it.
being something along
I
the
found
lines
it.
of I do believe in corporal punishment being brought back, because I think corporal
It's-
punishment both achieves the retribution function and also inflicts the preventative function. And then on top of all that, allows you to go about your life the next day, just, you know, probably with a very sore back and bottom.
Yeah, that's
Which, to
kinda
be
thing.
honest with you, probably takes away the mystique of going to prison in the first place.
You lose
I mean,
the
for
street
some
cred.
of
It's
these
because it's a
people,
humiliation ritual.
actually
Like that one judge who was
found
basically
it.
making people stand in front of, like, business saying, like, I drunk drived and I'm a piece of shit or something like that, and make them do it in public. Like, public humiliation, that's probably, it sucks for them, but that's the point. It's supposed to suck, but at the same time, it's not so detrimental that they can't reintegrate back into civilization. They get made fun of work, but at the same time, they're just kind of like, you know, getting back into society. Like, that's the
Andy,
point of it.
I
It's like
feel that
to
some
prevent people
things
from
are just-
doing it again.
Too small for like prison time. I believe like some crimes, like, oh yeah, public intoxication. If you're not actually hurting anybody, I don't believe you deserve any prison time.
I agree. Oh, like that.
Honestly,
For like the vast majority of petty crimes, up until the more irredeemable ones, I do believe genuinely in more of a rehabilitative approach as opposed to anything else. Now, obviously, here's what I kind of reclassified. Okay, when it comes to like petty crimes, like here's the problem. Okay, with petty crimes, like, you know, theft or whatever, you know, the thing about it is that, like, when people do it on an individual level, it's not a bad thing. But if a bunch of people do it, it just overall declines the quality of civilization, right? And so the thing is that, like,
theory.
yeah, you need to be able to filter out the people who are going to be repeat offenders in a such sense where they're just going to continuously be a public nuisance from the people who are just going to commit it once, they get shamed once, and they just kind of fuck off and get back to being a normal, like, citizen. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. You need to have, like, that filter method, is because you're going to have a block of people. Like, I've even talked with Empire about it. It's like there's a subset. Like, even police departments keep track of, like, the usual repeat offenders just to make sure that whenever a crime happens, they go check to make sure it's not that person first.
Well, we
What
solved
if I
this in the
told
scout
you
camp.
that the reason that prison education is down is Joe Biden's fault?
I do actually believe that. Like, the Democrats are not as, like, great as they you know, sell themselves to be.
Yeah,
They're more
I'm looking
condescending
into
than
this
the
whole prison
Republicans do.
education thing, and it was cut by a bill that Joe Biden actually supported
I could believe it.
in 1994.
Yeah,
No,
no, I 100%
actually-
believe it. Yeah.
I had to jump back in here because this was actually kind of topical. So I had a friend who recently went through the court system for something pretty fucking brutal that he actually ended up not doing. They ran him all the way through till one thing through trial, and then prosecution dropped the case because they were like, yeah, no, we fucked up. We arrested the wrong person. But
yeah.
but he has no legal recourse for all the like news smear that came with it. So at the same time, he is an eternal criminal without having a criminal record. So you have that same problem where
The social smear.
so someone can't get into another. And he was a high-end IT dude with like 15 years of experience, and he can't even get a fucking job at IKEA at this point. So at this point, he's like, why shouldn't I have gone to prison instead? Fuck.
Yeah, because you have to deal with the social consequences of it too. Like that's the biggest problem. Like the thing is that we need to have a streamlined form of criminal justice that actually focuses on rehabilitation for the vast majority of cases, handling public nuisances of people who are going to like reoffend consistently just because they like being problem makers for all of civilization, and then also on top of that, having the ability to basically filter out like the really nasty people from civilization. Like that's
But
the big one.
Alistair, I don't think we can do that with the current system we have. We can't have private prisons within that case.
I agree.
We
That's
can't
why I'm
because
not,
they're
that's why
only
I'm an
public.
economic leftist. That's why I'm like, a socialist. Like that's one of the reasons is because the incentive structures just aren't there to actually clean this stuff. The thing is like the entire civilizational scheme that we have right now is a giant pass the cost to everybody else while the wealthy kind of get the fuck off in their mansions, and they don't even do good things either. They're nasty people. But yeah. Bring the
Do you
tech
mind
in,
if
hell
I
yeah.
ask you do you mind if I ask you a quick question real quick? It's
Yeah, go for
related.
it, man.
So, like, so overall, I completely agree with you about like majority of how we should handle the prison system. But what about policing? Because I would while I'm not, I would agree with you that we need more policing in order to make things like public transit work, make things like good community centers work. However, I would say the way policing is handled right now is a lot more. Well, it's just a tool of the rich, honestly.
It
Like,
is.
people
Like,
do
unironically,
not look.
I posted a
they
video
don't
in the
look
chat. I recommend watching it, but go on. I'll let you finish. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's okay.
What video?
People just do not look at police officers favorably, and I would argue they have more reason than ever to not look at them favorably, because every time something bad happens, the police aren't there. Something bad, like you always hear stories about someone was released and they immediately killed someone. Somebody who is openly crazy and throwing a knife around, and there's an officer right there, and then nothing happens. Or all those like school shootings where they have a police officer on site and
He was on our radar.
Yeah, he was on our radar. He was one of our suspects.
Here is the brutal truth. I'm gonna let Glowing One onto the stage. Nice name, bro. Good to see you. Welcome to the chat. But here's kind of the thing. Okay, here's the brutal history about the police in the United States. It's kind of funny is because there's a common talking point that the police started out in the United States as like slave capture battalions and stuff like that. That's partially true, but what they miss, and the reason why you're right, and you just haven't been told this part of history, is that originally the police were created to protect merchant vessels and private property in the United States. Here's the thing about the state, okay, and this is why, I consider myself a Marxist, okay, is because the state throughout all of human history has been the necessary tool to protect the assets of the ruling class in every mode of production throughout history. Okay, within this society, we have a capitalist class. And so the origins of the police in the United States, especially in the Industrial Revolution, was the form of like the henchmen, the state that basically protect the assets of the ruling class was the police. Yes, that was the historical origin in the early 19th century of the police. Funny enough, it's like you didn't really have like the idea of like the idea that wealthy people came up with the idea is that if we allocate a public fund for a public army to basically protect, private property, that's the history of the police.
What would do you have any ideas about like what would be a more effective way of doing policing, or at the very least a more trusted
incentives?
Because
a lot of stuff. I think a lot of problems that our society faces is that we put too much in writing and don't put enough incentives. Sure, most people want to be a good person, but it would be more of a good person if they were rewarded for it. Because at the end of the day, humanity is a very, very selfish race. So
Yes, so
incentivize.
Do you think like Wild West
angels
should come back?
Everybody has self-interest, and the sooner you accept that reality about people and the nature of like post hoc rationalizations, the sooner you can operate on like the way people actually are as opposed to an idealistic notion. The incentive structures, essentially. If you like, I've looked at a lot of court cases. I don't know if Empire would agree with me. You can chime in and tell me whether or not you agree with me on this one. But the problem is, it's not even the judicial system. From what I've seen, the vast majority of judges seem like they're more than willing to work with participants in the court system to get them reintegrated back into society. But more often than not, the cost of living crisis gives no incentive to actually give a pathway for people to reintegrate into society. And on top of that, like, you also have the problems like with the judicial system being more based on punitive punishment as opposed to like rehabilitation, is it just basically causes people to, you know, basically you have recidivism problems as a consequence of that. You let me know if you agree with that, but that's personally my honest two cents with like 80% of judges. Obviously, there's plenty of corrupt judges out there, but yes.
The thing is that a lot of positions
laws
for judges are also electable. Like, so you have to remember that the judge as well as the prosecutor in many places are both elected officials. And so when you think about it, are you going to be as a judge, you say, listen, I'm going to be nice to this person because he seems like a real good dude, and then you deal with the fact that he's just stabbed a family of 4, you're going to run the risk of losing that election. So judges tend to want to see good things happen, but they also want to be insulated from the political effect of doing that. Same thing with a prosecutor. What ends up happening is these people come out because we don't have enough sufficient resources, because we are locking up low-level individuals. And the thing that we have, and the problem that we have with a lot of our issues in the judicial system, is this idea that all people should be treated equally and fairly across the ground, and therefore because every person is good, or because every person should like be good, we shouldn't treat people differently based on previous criminal history. And it becomes very clear very early on that that's not true. Some people are simply mentally ill, and they need to be rerouted into facilities to handle them when they're mentally ill. The people who can be saved need to be saved, and the people who continue to commit the same crime over and over again need to be dealt with in some other way.
If I may add to that, is that a lot of our laws, a lot of our political code, our political talk is based on a lie. Like it's based on the premise that everyone in that room, in that judge's room, is, you know, working in good faith with that judge, that they're not lying, that they're saying 100% the truth. That's why you have the I will tell the 100% of the truth, and 100% of the truth, or blah 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 blah. God, so may God, blah 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 blah. That's the problem. It assumes that you're a good person that just wants to get all this cleared up.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that, like, you do have a lot of violations of, like, you know, ex parte communications, and that's kind of the biggest one, because a lot of the times when it comes to the prosecutor and the judge, they tend to know each other, and they do have conversations outside of the courtroom to make up their minds. And that I think is a personal problem. I don't know, like, how to actually address that one, is because you're going to have people, like, you know, talking to one another and confiding one another outside of the actual, you know, institutions.
Well, I do have an idea of how we may start to fix it, and that is by letting cynicism take over just a little. Instead of assuming that the person next to you wants what you want, which is, I don't know, delivering justice, assume that the person next to you is gonna be selfish to some degree. Because we as humans have this idea that we're all just naturally good.
Yes.
We're not.
The best
We're
thing,
just
like,
harmless.
that's why I focus on, like, the self-interest
good,
model.
not bad,
Because,
or harmless.
sorry about that.
Yeah, you can go now.
Okay, yeah, like, the thing I try to focus on so much is kind of, my model of human nature is that everybody is self-interested at the end of the day. Everybody wants to slice. Like, the thing is, there's no such thing as somebody who's purely altruistic, but there's no, like, only psychopaths are purely self-interested. But at the end of the day, people are going to put their self-interest in front of, like, everything, okay? Because the fact is, it's like, when it comes to, you know, yourself, then goes to your family, your community, or whatever, right? There's an order of which people care about things. And so recognizing that everybody has self-interest, it becomes a game of balancing interest to make sure that everybody, wins out, where nobody's really taken advantage of. Now, obviously, corruption comes in when you take advantage of other people at the expense of everybody else and benefit yourself, right? And we can talk about corruption and exploitation all day, but it goes down to incentive structures to kind of balance everybody's interest. And that's kind of the funny part when it comes to like labor and like work and all that sort of stuff. Like the main complaint that people have about modern society on when it comes to the cost of living crisis is that you have one section of society that is quite literally paying more into the system than what they're getting out, and the other side just taking everything in. Like, we've talked plenty of times about boomers within society, and the fact is like, they have like a tremendous amount of housing wealth, because if you look at like the vast majority of wealth when it comes to boomers, you have a ton of wealth that's tied up into housing, but at the same time, it's like they're also eligible for things like Social Security and Medicare, while younger people who can't even afford their first house, are also paying into the systems that are also benefiting them, right? And so the thing about it is that like, it is about setting up a balanced system that benefits everybody but doesn't penalize everybody. Nobody likes to work, but at the end of the day, everybody has to work to some degree to actually keep things functioning. You need people shoveling coal into the power plants to keep the lights on. Like, that's just a fact of life. Nobody wants to do work, but work is just a necessary evil to actually keep things going.
Actually, now that you're talking about it, I always found it odd how it was that old people get all the end of life, quote unquote, benefits, like pretty much free healthcare, what else, pensions, that sort of thing. Shouldn't that go to the younger people so they in turn can take care of their elderly?
Well, yeah, that's kind of the point. You want to get the most capable the tools to actually take care of their families. Yeah, absolutely. Because the thing is, it's basically the young that have to take care of the old, but you can't necessarily alienate the young so much. Because here's the thing, this is why it's a bit concerning to me, and Ray's talked about it a couple of times, is that like if you ever get on the precipice of a revolution, this is why I say it's incredibly illogical that boomers are doing this so much to like younger generations. If there's ever a civil war revolution, the first to go in every civil war and revolution is the old and the feeble, is because with the collapse of medical supply chains, like there's a lot of things everybody depends on that people just take completely for granted, and it's not good to alienate a large section of the population that quickly and that easily. So
it also doesn't help that they think that we want this. No, we fucking don't. We understand what comes after the revolution. We do not want this. Why do you keep pushing us towards it?
Yeah, I will say I am not incentivized whatsoever to take care of my fucking in-laws. Like, I can't even fucking take care of myself.
I like an opinion on like human nature
the other
thing.
two people who just came to the stage, because one guy sent me a DM. I didn't get the chance to read it because I don't like to expose DMs on like stream and stuff like that, but welcome to the chat. And also welcome Justin Igor. How you doing? But yeah, no, that's kind of the thing. It's like you need to have like a more balanced relation within society. Recognize that everybody has to work to some degree to chip in, but also the fact is that like you can't necessarily dump the entire load of work on one section of the population and expect them just to kind of sit there and take it,
I mean, I understand what you're saying. I was gonna also say that I view human nature a bit differently, because maybe I'm just different, but I don't really believe that everyone acts in their own self-interest all the time. No. I think it's more of like a learned behavior, if it makes any sense.
I disagree with that. I do believe people are self-interested, but if they can cover their own bases, people are capable of being charitable, is what I should say. That's my take.
Yeah, once you get past your need.
Yeah,
I mean,
once you get past certain need, people are charitable.
I could learn from like my own personal experiences, but like whenever I like did something from my own self-interest, I always learned it. It's like a learned behavior. It's not really like I just did it. It was more like I saw someone else do it, and I'm like, oh, I can do this, and then I just did it.
Yeah, I think when you talk on more humane senses, like your need to like eat, shelter, all that, you're gonna make sure you're secured before, and I think that feeling kind of flows through everything. Every choice you make as a human, essentially comes from your needs. Like it's all branching off of that.
That's like for example, it's like the Great Depression. I mean, everyone was more charitable to each other because I mean they could eat. They were like decently taken care of.
Yeah. Well, so I had a question to pose. So the whole angle of boomers, like kind of putting the work on us, pricing us out. Has anyone ever thought that is kind of it's their way of saying, hey, destroy the system, without saying destroy the system? also without having to be accountable for how bad
I
they've
don't
let
really
the system.
believe that. I just believe it was just
no.
short-term thinking.
Yeah, I think it's just short-term thinking,
Yeah.
because you got to understand, it's like a generation of
'Cause-
people who just like, you know, their entire mentality is "fuck you, got mine." And so like that, they don't really care about the second-order consequences, because like they've got theirs, they're just gonna like fuck off and leave. And to be fair, right, you know, as much as people talk about being altruistic, if people had a chance to like check out of a society, like most people would. If you were given the opportunity to leave, like most people would. The problem is that like you have them conspiring with the ruling class to make us all perpetual renters in our own homeland, and you know, basically digital IDing us all to where we can't leave. We're always consistently under their control. Digital feudalism is a common term that people use to describe it. It's basically
Actually,
a system.
I've
go on.
heard it more as techno-feudalism, actually.
Techno-feudalism also works, whichever you prefer. Technical feudalism works, whatever you wish to call it. But like that's kind of thing. It's essentially using digital surveillance to basically control people's lives in every aspect, right? You know, and make everybody rent everything.
I mean, I agree with
'Cause
that.
I've
but I mean, in a
always
certain
seen it
sense-
like as in like the cyberpunk way, where it's like at least the way I've seen it explained is like they're the people who like work the techno jobs, and they're the people who like control all the technology, and then you have to like serve them and etc.
There's one thing we can do. We can go through Palantir's stupid little manifesto that they created recently. If everyone wants to take a piss out of that.
Oh,
That
I'd
thing was such a
definitely be
lark.
willing to look at it.
Yeah, like we go by piece and just start ripping it apart, because it
Okay.
was such a stupid post. It's
Sorry
like,
about that.
okay, so we'll start with number one. I'm going to post it in the announcements, and some other people join in. Let me go ahead and clear them on into the stage if they want to join in. Umaniko Enjoyer, that's pretty based. Welcome to the server, dude. All right, let me
And
clear you out.
announcements.
I'm going to just put it there because it's publicly visible and everybody can see. I'm just not going to ping everybody, right? So here's their
Okay.
stupid little Palantir thing. I'm going to FX Twitter it so it's more readable and stuff like that. And then we can start going through it, you know, page by page, because this stuff is hilarious. This is comedy gold, man. It's like, people are fear-mongering about it. I was watching a stream by Kyle Kalinske, okay? And this is kind of the thing about it. It's like... Go
from
on.
Talks, Secular Talks?
Yeah, Secular Talks. He did a video on that, calling it demonic and stupid and stuff like that. I don't like to do the fear tuber stuff. I don't like the doom tubers, because a lot of the times they fearmonger like the stupid stuff the elites do, and then make it to be out to be this beast that more than it actually is. Like Loyal Moses is probably one of the few YouTubers that I'm like, dude, stop trying to put up like these doom tuber thumbnails. Like Polly Walnuts called like out those types of YouTubers again not too long ago, is because they just focus on Doomtube content. It's like, oh dude, it's over, like you're never gonna win, the rich pedophiles have like secured their existence, and you're gonna be eating the bugs for all eternity and paying $3,000 a month in rent.
Like
I did,
weird fear about this, that
Can I-
if something
can I
is
jump in
actually
and, add a
serious,
comment right
that
Yeah.
the
Because you guys earlier were talking about homelessness and that lady that was killed on the train. I want to
Irina Zaruska.
Yeah. I want to point out something why the boomers never had to deal with that type of stuff on their public transit. Well, during the boomers generation, the government did a great job of funding mental illnesses. So when you see a lot of homeless people out here, you would notice a lot of them are mentally deranged. And you know why they're roaming the street? Because we stopped funding mental programs a long time ago in America, like in the 1970s. And ever since the 1970s, you see more people who are not healthy mentally on the buses, sleeping on the train, doing that type of stuff. It's not just homeless people. So not only were we screwed financially by the boomers, but their politics from the 1970s and up has defunded things that we are now complaining about, like mentally ill people stabbing other people on the train.
Yeah, unironically, yes. But like, I do want to get into the Palantir manifesto, because I would like to rip apart that before we kind of like forget about it. Is because the thing is that like they're trying to do the wagey containment tech. Oh, okay, you go ahead and finish up your point. We'll go into the Palantir manifesto, because I want to tear it apart.
I just had one idea when you guys were talking about how to deal with the prosecutor and judge relation. They are close enough. I truly think a good idea would be to kind of break that relation is when the judges travel. Each day they go to a different court. They get their reimbursement and both sides wear a mask, so neither one knows exactly who they're prosecuting. Like who is there.
That has been a talking point for a lot of people, and I'm not necessarily against that. What's up, Phoenicia? I can't pronounce your name. Toilet Paper Luigi has hero status, and times I can see more Luigi copycats. Yeah, that's an inevitability. You're not going to be able to avoid that. Like, that's an inevitability, is you're going to see more Luigi copycats, especially with gas prices rising. You really can't get around that. But that's also why they're trying to secure control. I did come across a post. Let me see if I can open up announcements. Did I post it there? But, they were talking about digital ID being used for counterterrorism. They want to tie everybody's status to a singular digital ID that they can basically control and then shut you down if you have any bad opinions about the existing ruling pedophiles of our country. So let's go ahead and pivot into the Palantir manifestos, because I kind of got a reading about this. I watched Kyla Kalinski's video, and it's like, everyone's like, it's the same Doomtuber stuff. It's like there's this giant, like, monolithic creature that's trying to make us all renters and, perpetual renters and all that sort of stuff. And it's like, I hate the Doomtubing, man, because I like to see, like, more energy and saying, like, no, this is retarded. We're going to go against it. We don't really care. If we have nothing left to lose, why should we be afraid of these people? That's my biggest take. I don't like that Doomtuber energy of just basically like, oh, the rich pedophiles won. We can't do anything, right? So let's go in the first one. Because like the funny part is, this is an interesting thing that I'm going to tie back into, because I've talked a lot about, Kyle Kalinske. It's like he kind of Doomtubes too much sometimes, and it's like, oh, he just treats like this bigger thing. But let's get into the first one. So Silicon Valley owes a moral debt to the country that made its rise possible. The engineering elite of Silicon Valley has an affirmative obligation to participate in the defense of the nation. So here's kind of the interesting thing. I'm not a big fan of like Palantir, and I'm just going to throw my 2 cents in, and then I'm going to turn it over to you guys so you can give your 2 cents if you're interested. But, like, notice the language, like, elite. It's always interesting, like, the ruling class, the wealthy. It's like, no, Palantir, Peter Thiel, like, Alex Karp, you are the elite of this country. You're the well-connected plutocrats that run everything. Stop calling everybody else elites. It's like when they were going and calling, like, all these Ivy League students elites. And, like, dude, you are the ruling class of this country. One thing I can't stand about our ruling class is that they try to act like the humble blue-collar worker like class. They're not that people. It's interesting. It's like they don't actually mature up to actually be functioning statesmen of society, but they'll call other people elites. You ever notice that phenomenon, guys? It's just like, it's like they want to LARP as the populist side and call everybody elites except for themselves, and acknowledging that, like, they are the elite of this society. And that's always driven me up the wall, is because the fact is it's a level of dishonesty I just can't stand.
You mean like Billy Irish and Imiru?
Billy Irish and Imiru?
Yes, they're like rich, and they pretend to be like lower class. They just act like they're one of us, and I'm like, dude. Well, you got like $1 million. What do you mean?
Well, that's kind of the interesting thing. They're actually technically right, is because in comparison, like Jeff Bezos, okay, let's talk about billionaires and millionaires, because those people are millionaires. Like, that's kind of interesting. I'm not going to defend them because they are bougie as hell, right? But the thing is like, compare the difference of $1 million to $1 billion, and there are 3 orders of magnitudes of difference there, right? Try and like stack up that many like dollar bills in a room in comparison, like $1 for every like 1,000, right? And it's a big difference. We're talking about orders of magnitude difference, right? But like the people who are actually running the show, they show up to Washington D.C. like these media figures, these Hollywood people. It's like, yeah, they're bougie, but that's kind of the thing. It's like Billie Eilish. It's like she's just the media figure, and on top of that, she doesn't have as much power as like the other people. Like, I bet you Palantir and Alex Karp like has way more like political influence in Washington D.C. than she does. She's just a musician.
They do.
Honestly, the thing that ends up happening with these people, the thing that ends up happening with these people is that they set bad examples, and they're more accessible than Alex Karp is. People aren't like, and I'm not using Billie Eilish as the example.
I agree with you on that.
But the fact that, like, for example, Kim Kardashian cheats on XYZ, more or less underwrites the behavior of other people. And the main thing here is that mistakes made by people who have wealth are automatically less consequential than mistakes made by people who do not have wealth. And so if you copy the lifestyle of people who do have wealth doing bad decisions, you will end up in a far worse position than they will, because their decisions are basically insulated from consequence because of their wealth. So I don't have a problem with Billie Eilish as the example.
Just representation.
But I do have a problem with with, like, Madonna cheating on her husband and then divorcing and then cheating on her ex-husband, and then, that underwrites a societal
bad
problem.
civilizational values, and then people try to emulate it because, like, people like to mimic, like, people that they follow. Like, that's a very common thing. It's just the way people act. They're like, this person's important to me, so I'm going to follow their traits. And that's kind of thing. It's like, with people like that, it's like setting a better example for civilization. is a pretty important thing. One thing I've always kind of gotten irritated with, like, my own demographic, I don't know if you felt this way, is because you're also a millennial as well, Empire, is that the fact is, like, there's the sense of, like, an adult baby or whatever, an adult kid. It's like, I watched a video by Classic Halo Commentary, love his channel, by the way, and he was basically making a video telling millennials, you have to let, like, the next generation have their own childhood. And a lot of the times I feel like millennials is that, like, a lot of the times, like, a lot of them just don't actually fully grow up in a sort of sense. That's like kidults or whatever. They even made a category for that shit. I'm like, dude, it's like, you can't consistently, like, I remember one of my buddies, like, a couple of years older than me, was talking about, I was like, I can't wait for the next Marvel movie to come out. I'm going to stomp on all the kids just to get in the front of the line. I was like, so you're basically just a giant baby in an adult body, and you're just going to, like, take away everybody else's childhood so you can be, like, a kid again. Like, that's just incredibly pathetic. Like, you need to let, like, future generations have their childhood. That's just childish, to say the least.
Alistair, you are so fucking right. It's so funny, but you are so on the money.
Yeah,
it sounds weird to me that like for example, let's say, like, me, if I want to go to college, right, have the ability to take on debt. I have the ability to, like, screw my life entirely, but I can't own a handgun, and I can't drink a beer.
Yeah, that's stupid.
But I can die for my country.
Well, that's a different facet of the problem that's being described. It is that millennials, that a good percentage of millennials just haven't grown up. I think, like, the Disney adults is one of the most visible symptoms, right? and the thing is obviously people should be able to enjoy what they want, right? I have many things that I still enjoy from my childhood that I still do today. I love board games, absolutely adore board games. I'll play board games with you all day. But also, board games aren't my personality, right? Yeah. They're simply a facet. But you have a large group of millennials that make whatever thing they experienced in childhood their entire personality. Marvel movies, Disney movies, whatever it is.
Also, I feel weird for asking you this, but Alistair, aren't you Gen Z? Because you're like 30?
No, I'm not Gen Z. I'm like the 31.
No, Gen Z ends at 96 or 97, depending on.
Yeah, I'm a
I know
millennial.
it's so weird because I born 93, and so, like, everybody, like, I saw that, and everybody lumps people I know in either Gen Z or millennial, depending on what's more self-interested towards that.
Yeah,
point.
especially when you're on the border. Like me and my wife talk about, we just go by late millennials because, like, that's what we were told we were, like, our entire lives.
Oh. Yeah.
Hey, so quick, can I tell a story about some, like, rich insulation that I've actually experienced?
Yeah, go for it, man. Welcome to the chat.
Hey, yeah. So I had this landlord. He runs like several construction companies.
Yeah.
And I'm in the passenger seat of his truck. We're going down the road. It was like I think the speed limit was like 35. And he was going like 80. He was just zooming down that fucker, right?
Yeah.
And cop pulled out, like, he just passed up a cop, and the cop, like, pulled out. But by the way, the reason I was in his truck was because I was doing a little bit of work for him.
Yeah.
Anyway, a cop started chasing this dude, and, like, it was the craziest thing ever. The cop, like, scanned this guy's plate and just made a fucking U-turn. I'm like, this dude's doing 80 in a 35, and the cop's like, oops, he's a fucking protected class. Or I don't know what was up with him.
He's on the list.
Property owner.
He's on.
I asked him about it, and he just like he just kind of smirked at me.
Oh boy, he's one of those people. That's insufferable. It's like, oh boy, it's like he's probably like well in the city councils. Here's the thing. Okay, this is the problem with the incentive structure of United States city councils. Okay, like the main way that, like, local councils and, like, counties get their property taxes essentially is funded through a property tax. Okay, so, like, the property owners are going to be the biggest, like, vested interest when it comes to the police and local governments. That's another incentive structure that I could probably talk about endlessly. But I don't have a solution to that one right now, because the problem is that, like, essentially if you're paying into it and you're basically well connected to the people in these, like, local governments, you can get away with a lot of shady shit, and that's a real problem at the local level.
That's actually what I wanted to talk about, is how to end housing as an asset.
That's kind of the thing. I am gonna take one for the team on this one, because me and my wife are homeowners and stuff like that, and the problem is that, like, eventually it's just gonna be a painful thing where you're just gonna have to burst the property bubble. It's a necessary evil. Property values have to go down because treating it like an asset, it's essentially a pyramid scheme where the last person in has to pay the most, and that's the problem with the property market. And so the thing is like, Somebody has to lose for somebody to win. And the thing is that, like, would you rather be in a world where property values go up in the long run, and then everybody essentially gets alienated because property values get too expensive? Or would you rather live in a world where property values go down, but at least if you lose your first property, you know that property values are going to go down anyway, so you can at least buy back in instead of what we have now? I think most people would choose the latter, even if it was a depreciating, asset, and, you still had an opportunity to buy it later, which it should have gone that way, but it didn't.
I think you have to remove property values as a source of revenue for cities and municipalities before you even approach that, because it's the main problem. And that's part of the problem with housing. Like, even if you do get into housing, I'm sure maybe I'm wrong, but I'm sure there's parts of your house where you're like, why did they cheap out on this part of the construction? And it's by the time you buy it, it's too late to have upgraded that. And you're like, oh, dude, you saved 50 cents here. Yeah, that was $1 million over the course of this year, but I don't get to upgrade that 50 cents myself. Yeah. And it's like, oh god.
It's going to be a necessary evil. Somebody's going to have to suffer to tackle that beast, and that probably includes me, even though, like, I'm literally advocating against my interest when I say that, but the fact is it's just better that, like, housing is just not as expensive as it is. It needs to pace with inflation.
I was going to say, but I think you decided you're not going to have kids, so I was about to say,
too expensive.
You were advocating for your interest if you are going to have kids, because then you're advocating for your children's interests, but...
Essentially,
Yeah. Because even if you're like, I'm going to suffer so my kids don't. And I think millennials, especially the later millennials, we're going to have to just eat the bullet on that, unfortunately.
Yeah, we are. And it sucks, but it is what it is. It's like, like I said earlier in the stream, it's like a lot of us have been given the short straw, but it's like, everybody in this generation has two options. I'll let you speak next, Cameron. Is that, like, either you can kind of get upset about it, be angry at the fact that boomers are literally the worst generation in human history, and, just kind of, live in squalor about it, or accept the fact that a better world's not going to build itself. It has to be done by ordinary people, and we're going to have to suffer to make sure that future generations have a better life than us. And that's it. It's all there is to it.
Honestly, our recompense is we're the ones who get to write the history books about them.
Yeah, that's true. That's 100% true, because everybody's going to remember the eternal boomer.
Yep. Well, the true solution is that we got to identify Reddit mods.
You guys mind if I go back a little bit, because it's clawing at my brain?
Go for it, man. Get it out of the way. Like, it's an open chat, man.
Okay. So you're talking about how they call themselves elites and they always grandiose themselves. I just want to point out, this is the fucking Epstein class. They are the ones who had Rape Island. They are the ones who, like, publicized 10 billion fucked up things a year. Like, they are the worst people. Like, I'm not even sure, like, late stage Roman Republic was this bad.
No, it wasn't.
Like, they are the fucking worst.
I thought Caligula was
now we just need an Augustus Caesar to go after them. That's all we need.
Like that,
Augustus Caesar is the most wild
every time they start doing some shit about, oh, we're elite, oh, we're so smart, oh, we're this, we're that, it's social Darwinism, that they fucking love social Darwinism.
And then they drop all the responsibilities of being an elite and then, like, pass it on to everybody else.
Just fucking point out to them, social Darwinism does not mean Rape Island. It does not mean infinite pedophiles. Stop. Like, could you just go back and do something cool? Please, at least be evil and cool. Don't be evil and, like...
Hey, you know what? I can be evil and cool. Vote for me, bro. Cool. Like, that's gonna be my slogan for running for political office. I can be evil and cool. There you go.
Evil and cool.
Evil and cool is the most crazy slogan ever.
The one thing you can't be in politics is lame.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
Being lame is gay.
Do you want to know the true ultimate solution to all of this? This will solve every single problem.
Yeah, but anyway, that's hard to say.
I'm glad you chipped in, man. It's because, like, that was a good one. But yeah, they're an elite that pretends not to be an elite, and then they pass the responsibility of running civilization to everybody else, and then gaslights them.
Because you were talking about speculation, and I just thought about your Bitcoin video.
Oh yeah, that's kind of an interesting thing. It's a similar effect. It's like Bitcoin. It's like the interesting thing, like, now that's going to be an old one. The Bitcoin video, that's an old one. Cryptocurrencies are a funny thing, is because the fact is when you treat them like an asset, you don't really treat them like a currency. Is because a currency, the reason why the federal... go on.
What you mentioned, because I watched a whole video. You were like, they can't use Bitcoin as money because then they won't be able to use it as an asset.
Yeah,
and they'll want to hoard all of it. So then they won't be able to trade any of it because it's an asset.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
So therefore, we wouldn't be able to use it as a money.
Yeah, let the other guy go because he's been waiting for a while. Yeah, he's next. Go up, man.
Oh yeah, you go.
Sorry
first,
about that.
Oh, me?
Yeah, go for it, man.
Hey, man, look, can I rant right quick about these damn cops running defense for these tweakers?
Yeah, go for it, man.
I swear to God, it's infuriating. So, way back in the day, a crack whore murdered my uncle, and there were obvious signs. Like, for example, my truck was stolen out of his front yard, and his wallet was empty, right? And the last known person to be with him was this crack whore he was trying to like save. He Uncle was he's a bit of a dumbass, but he had a good heart. He would try to help you if you were like he'd give his shirt off his back and literally die in the process.
Yeah.
And when he was like all rigor mortis and his body was falling apart, we found him. The cops they literally saw a beer can and were like, "Hey, you know what's a lot easier than investigating a murder? Writing off his death as beer. He died of beer."
Oh my God, that's just some lazy fucking nonsense. It's like they didn't even like do a proper investigation.
Oh no, it's worse because like when I tried to press them about it, I was look at all the evidence. A crack whore who like by the way, I later found my truck. I had a trunk full of food that got spoiled because I raced across town chasing my own truck.
Wow.
And they still let the crackhead go. And yeah. And
somebody in my chat was. Oh, go on. I'll let you finish. I gotta acknowledge somebody in my chat because he's asking, mass flood of bodies when it comes to housing. What do you mean by that, Darzog? I'm gonna let you answer that, and I'll let the other guy finish in the chat first. But go on, man.
Oh yeah. So, and then I had another incident where a crackhead was like squatting in my fucking apartment, right? And he was promptly told to get lost. And he made funny tweaker noises about how he's going to report me for terrorism, yada, yada, yada. And I just kind of disregarded it as tweaker. I disregarded it as tweaker babble. And, well, unfortunately, the tweaker did exactly what he said he was going to do. And so, like, a month later, I get raided. They steal about $10,000 worth of guns and ammunition. And I'm permanently not able to buy, I can't own guns or ammo anymore.
Wait, did you get indicted on a felony and convicted or something like that? Or is it just like a temp-like ban?
No. So it's permanent. But here's what they charged me with. They charged me with allegedly checking the wrong box on a driver's license application 5 years before.
Oh, that's that gate pretexting bullshit. So they got you on something stupid and then use that as a post hoc rationalization to go after your right to bear arms.
No, they didn't even get me. They didn't even get me. So they set a fucking judge set my they charged me with this, but they interrogated me about terrorism. And when they realized it was bullshit, they didn't. So I guess we were wrong. Like, no, their ego invested. So they just kept going full hog anyway and fucking with me. And they set my bond to $100,000.
I mean, if you want to share your case and talk about it, that's totally fine. Like, this is sounding bullshit on their part, man.
Like, you got charged for something you didn't do?
Here's the thing. Me being the financially responsible adult that I was, I actually posted bond. Nobody expected me to have. So initially it was $50,000. Nobody expected me to have $5,000 in cash, right?
What was the prosecutor's argument on setting your bail so high? Like, did they say was it a flight risk reason or whatever? They say you're a danger to society. Like, what was their stupid argument?
Remember, so they were charging me with the box checking thing, but the ATF, in Texas it would be the JTTF, so the Joint Terrorism Task Force. And basically, the judge just rubber stamps whatever the fuck, right? So he doesn't actually have any, he's not even really invested in this.
Yeah.
And so I get whatever the tweaker told them got them real uppity. And so they were treating me like a terrorist. So I posted bond. And while I'm on bond, awaiting my court date, I shit you not, dude. Every time I drove by a cop, so apparently the FBI put a little thing in the cop's computer, so every time I drive by, It goes
Did
ding,
notify?
ding, ding, possible terrorist, ding, 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 possible terrorist. And so, I shit you not, dude. I was doing like DoorDash and it was a nightmare because I got pulled over. Every time I it was, and they always ran the maximum. They have this thing called the reasonable amount of time to like hold you hostage, which apparently
Yeah.
is 45 minutes. So, like a fucking 10-minute delivery would take 3 hours because I drive by 3 cops.
Yeah.
That
And
that
so
sounds
that
horrible.
that harassment went on for a year, and then
That's the kill line.
they were I swear they were stalking my Facebook because I was talking to a friend of mine, telling him that I was broke and I needed to like borrow one of his vehicles, and like literally like a day after that, there's a cop like outside my house waiting for me to drive by, and he pulls me over, and I got a warrant for my arrest. Okay, now that you're out of money there, Skippy, now you're going back to jail, and now the bond is $100,000. And I'm like,
did you ever make it? Like, the thing is like, if this is a
no.
bullshit case,
It's
right?
even
Oh, go on.
it's even dumber. I was in jail for 3 months, and thankfully I got blessed with a ultimate Super Saiyan Jewish lawyer, court appointed, and
Yeah.
all those charges were dropped because they were obviously bullshit.
Yeah, like that's kind of thing. Something like that, a bullshit case like that, the best thing you can do is publicize it. If like the thing is, if it was still going on, like you should just share it. Is because the fact is, people are going to call out. Like the judges and prosecutors are democratically elected. You can't hold them accountable if it is a bullshit charge.
Oh, I tried. I tried. I literally contacted every. I went through a massive list of like, oh, sorry, I don't do that. You need this kind of lawyer because I don't know shit about the legal system, right? And they're like, oh, you need you need this kind of lawyer. You need this specific type. And eventually, I found out what the kind of type of lawyer I needed.
Yeah,
and I literally called
different
every
sects of law.
Yeah, so I contacted every lawyer in the state. I contacted every lawyer in the surrounding state, and they all universally said the same thing. You know what they told me? Oh, I don't.
Another
sue
lawyer?
I don't. I'm sorry, man. I don't go against the government. I don't touch that. And so, like, no lawyer would no lawyer wanted to fucking sue the county. None of them.
Yeah.
Nobody would touch it.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem.
Not
Is a lot of
even
these
one?
people within these roles get like really corrupt. But the thing is like, again, it's about publicizing it, because the fact is like, the thing is, lawyers obviously, if they're not going to touch it, they don't want to deal with the consequences of basically like the retaliation, essentially, right? That's kind of the problem. But yeah, no, like things like that you should publicize with like local political parties and try and get it on the news as much as you possibly can, is because the fact is, if it's a bullshit case, it's not going to hold within the public view. Like, that's my honest opinion.
And the lawyers probably want to get famous from the case anyway. So I mean, I think if you publicize it, then a lawyer will probably want to take it.
Yeah,
fame is a little weird. Fame usually comes from the more abusive cases, I would say.
Yeah. Like, the thing is like, gotta remember, like, within a court of law, these are all just, an indictment is just an accusation. That's the whole point of the judicial system, is where you get the chance to actually argue against an indictment. That's the whole logic of the judicial system. It doesn't mean you're guilty. As much as people, especially the bourgeois media, would like to pretend and try and create like because like they've been trying to do where job applications, so they ask if you've ever been arrested, not whether or not you've been like convicted, right? Is because a lot of the times people are trying to socially engineer and rewrite the criminal justice system, where just because somebody gets arrested, that means they're automatically guilty. Don't fall for that stuff. The entire point of the judicial system is to actually give people a fair and speedy trial. It's guaranteed by the Constitution, and that's something they don't tell you about that fact, and that's something that you should bring awareness to like everybody you possibly can. You know, just because somebody has an indictment doesn't mean they're guilty. So, you know, there's stuff like that you should publicize, because if you're innocent, it's like people will see through it, and you can basically get these people unelected.
Yeah. By the way, I was going to add, many lawyers do not want the heat that the government brings. It's not even about fame. It's just about knowing where the money is. One, where the money is, and two, not being on the government's bad side. Because the main thing that a lot of lawyers want is to quickly settle cases as fast as possible. It's not even about the money that you can earn. It's usually about the caseload that you are managing.
That makes sense.
If you get like
small...
famous from a good case, I mean, you won't have to worry about it, right?
Well, you always
it is something you have to worry about, because most lawyers, what you're really dealing with at the end of the day is how many hours in a day are there, and how many hours do you want to spend with your family. And the question that happens is that you still want to make a living, but the thing you're balancing it out with is this: if you go against the U.S. government, the U.S. government throws enough resources, you're going to be working all day long on different issues, and it's not something that you want to really do unless you're willing to kind of take that heat all on your own.
Yeah.
And so one kind of like last tweaker story,
heat.
this is the most current one, which is I've had $800 worth of shit go missing, both off my porch and out of the passenger seat of my truck. And we have tweakers that just go up and down this fucking road. Nothing has been done about any of that, but you better believe that on the day that I ran the stop sign that sits across from my house, because I was coming back home, and I know for a fact that I did a rolling stop. There's really never any traffic here. But the day I did that, you best believe a cop was right there to give me a $300 ticket for running that stop sign.
Yep.
Wait. $300 for running a stop sign?
That's a moving violation. That's a standard moving violation across the country. It's $300.
Yeah.
Do you live in a southern state?
Yeah, it's like $345 in California, I think. The last time I saw it on signs, probably higher.
Why
you
is
run a stop sign, you run a red light, it's like $345.
Why does it cost so much to run a stop sign?
Because if
that's where those counties get funding. So they're taxing a lot of their citations.
And they'll justify it by trying to say that they're going to stop traffic accidents because they're going to say people getting.
I don't believe they actually even do that. They don't even keep the roads. They don't even keep the roads up to date. You think those people actually care about stuff like that?
Yes, absolutely. I don't think you understand how much money counties make based off of tickets.
Yeah.
The thing is that the county, in some cases, there are known places that are like you can look it up in advance and know that they're called speed traps. Outside of there's a town in Ohio, for example, that has a restaurant called the Speed Trap Cafe. The slogan for it is if you're here, you're probably getting a ticket. And that's because they changed the speed limit from 45 to 35 to 25 over the course of 1 mile. Now I'm speaking from experience, considering I got the ticket.
That sounds like
there's
BS.
also a place in between Sacramento, right outside of Placerville, between Sacramento and Tahoe. You're on a freeway, and then the freeway runs right through town, and just on a downhill slope coming both ways, it drops immediately to 45 before you even right when you hit an intersection, and then
and there's some old boomer cop looking smugly like, got me another one.
Yeah, because he has a quota for that county to fill, because that's how they get their main funding. It's really kind of sickening.
Doesn't that seem like counterproductive? Because they kind of want people to.
The cities often have their funding pulled from other places, so they're like, well, shouldn't have broke the rules. That's literally their opinion on it.
Yeah,
but the whole goal is to have less people break the rules. So wouldn't it be better to get people to commit less crimes?
Or engineer the roads better so that that's not an issue in the first place? But that'd be proper civil engineering.
Yeah,
like
the counties get money off of your violations, so they have an interest in making sure that there are as many ways to screw you over as possible, especially for the small towns. Like many small towns have it because that they do not tax their local residents. So essentially what they're doing is they're putting a visitor tax on you without having to break the constitutional law. Then that's the truth. By the way, I put it in side chat.
Isn't there a better way to just do that? Like, can't they just get like other ways of funding or something?
They could put tolls.
I'm just pissed off that these tweakers, like the cops refuse to do anything about these tweakers stealing packages. But I promise you, I absolutely promise you, if I just run around town just assaulting tweakers and just handling the problem myself, I'm going to fucking jail. Like, the tweaker is not going to jail for stealing my shit. I have a $300 impact that I use for work every day. I had to buy another one, right? I had some like collectible items that I ordered from eBay. One of a kind. You can't even get them. You can't get another one. And because they're inherently they're like rare DVDs and shit. Because they're like worthless to a pawn shop. I promise, like that DVD I paid $100 for, a tweaker just put it in the garbage.
Yeah. Also, one thing I hate about the post-COVID economy, and this is something I hate probably the most, is that everything requires tipping nowadays. Have you noticed that? It's like You go fill up gas, and they're like, "Will you give like a 20% tip?" It's like, dude,
Bro,
like maybe
fucking Best Buy.
Yeah.
I went to
I
Best
feel
Buy
like this is just an
yesterday,
American
and I
thing,
got asked,
which is like
I got asked 3 times before I got to just hit the yes, take my money. I got 3 things. It was like, hey, do you want to donate to this foundation? Hey, do you want to subscribe to our Best Buy OnlyFans? Hey, do you want to do you want to become a member of like the super cool
wires?
Best Buy club?
Yeah.
Don't even get me started.
Would you like to deliver
Yeah.
a tip on top of a tip? Like, we need another tip for the tip, bro. It's like, dude, and I bet you like that money doesn't even go to the workers. It quite literally probably just gets like 80%.
No, it doesn't. Ride sharing stuff. It used to be like
this reminds me of
75%
Tippy.
of the fees went to them,
I actually
and
love
now
Tippy.
They
I got
barely
a
did any of it.
thing you guys are gonna laugh about for how bad it is. We get the donation thing. We are constantly. Well, I work for a retail company. Well, I can't really say its name. I'm just gonna say it's not good out here, and it's just gone downhill in the last 5 years since post-COVID. It has been just corporate bad mistake after bad mistake. We constantly are harassed about our credit card and our store card numbers. We are constantly taught to be that is what we push. We push warranties, we push rewards accounts. We basically poke and prod and do all this shit. And we basically have to constantly go after that thing. We have deals with it. We have sale items near the register that we are supposed to know about. Like, they give us all this extra training and stuff like that. And it's just, and they just keep cutting the price. Like, our scanners now are about to be, they completely changed the payroll system, which completely messed up when they did the time card thing. They completely messed up everyone's vacation and PTO. So many people lost PTO, save dates, decay, and all stuff. And it just was a cluster. And then when I went from full-time to part-time, because I needed more time to go to school, I lost almost 80 hours of PTO, and I lost all my sick time. I had almost 250 hours of sick time banked in there that I had been saving.
We need to start talking about landlords and employers more often, because like that's kind of the thing. It's like they get away with this
I've
shit.
worked for restaurants where they
I have this thing
like
that
higher.
I do have a plan, because like here's the plan, right? Because the thing is that, like, I like to do things by like the legal metric. I've talked with Empire about that, because he does practice law too, right? You know, because I do want to open up a program essentially where you can go after these people and hold these people accountable. But before like any blasting 100%. Is done publicly, right? You know, before any public blasting is done on landlords or employers, you know, we basically try to reason with them behind closed doors and essentially get them to, like, say, like, you know, they're not doing repairs or something like that. We give them the opportunity to do that, but if they're like, no, fuck you, Wagey, you know, fix it yourself, you're gonna pay rent anyways, right? You know, they're not following through with the law. We can't document this stuff and then take them to court, right? You know,
hey,
basically
Alistair,
publicize
you know how you can actually do this? One way that, like, not a lot of people know about this is if you own a property, or I have noticed this, like, I have been in real estate before. I think we've talked before.
Yeah.
But I've been in real estate, and one thing I realized was how cheap it is. It's literally like some sites 16 cents on the 16 cents to be able to track down someone that owns a property. Sometimes you get like a tenant and you accidentally like, oh yeah, like, I'm sorry, like I didn't know you rented here. I was trying to get like landlord. I didn't want to like make it uncomfortable, whatever.
It's not hard to actually go through the property records to see who owns what, and that's kind of the thing. It's like you can figure out these people and basically summon them in court. Now, obviously, you wouldn't want to go immediately with that.
AI.
Unironically. But the thing is, you can basically build up your legal arguments to basically bolster your case before you do anything, and then you can basically privately say, like, you know, you're letting mold grow in this place because you haven't repaired the AC, you know, unit. It's in the middle of southern summer fucking heat. The child, like the family has a disabled daughter, and there's mold growing in the walls. You should fix that, or, you know, we can go public with this and, you know, make you look really bad, or maybe even encourage the tenant to take you to court, right? You know, there's ways to actually do it. Now, this is the kind of thing, because, like, a lot of people, like, want to go, like, you know, full guns blazing after people. No, like, you don't need to do that. You can be... The thing is about achieving political results, okay? And that's the way I want to do it on this show eventually, is that, you know, it's not about just terrorizing people and, you know, going after them. It's about achieving results that actually, A, make people's lives better, and also do it in the
Results.
most peaceful
Yeah.
but they'll ultimately deliver results, right? Is because the fact is, yeah, we can like take the piss out of shitty landlords and make fun of them all day, but we want results. We want to be able to force the hands of landlords and employers to give concessions to the working class, and that's the goal of the thing, right? So like, you know, if I were to basically do this, like I said, it would be very procedure oriented on actually reasoning with the people behind the scenes, but if they're like actually being stubborn and uncompliant, yeah, we're gonna blast you publicly, because at the end of the day, it's like you're just trying to abuse your position. And it's not hard to do that. I've seen some pretty fucked up cases, and I've had to basically say, do you want to go public with this? I can show everybody the shit that you're doing, and you're going to look really bad.
Yeah. Let me tell you this about like my situation right now. One thing I would say about like...
Go for it.
Yeah, one thing I'll say about like my situation is we had an oven that was... we had no ability to cook on the stovetop. We had no ability to cook things in the oven for about like I think like about like a full work week. And I thought to myself, like, you know what, this is not stressful to me. I am willing to actually be able to go outside, make some money, like to be able to get myself some fast food. And I thought to myself, like, you know what, I should not have to do this. First of all, I'm injured. Yeah. I got injured like around like within like a day or so of me having this issue. I was just walking I was walking outside and I injured my knee. I was playing basketball, I injured my knee. It was completely unwork related, whatever. But I thought to myself, like, this is unacceptable. If I heard someone had this issue, I would be livid and I would be willing to raise hell. And why am I not feeling this way about myself? But like one thing I was trying to like, one of the reasons I want to come up on the stage is that I kind of realized that someone that I had very negative feelings about, some like pretty, I don't want to explain it, but feelings about that were like, okay, like, this person is evil, this person is like not good. And I kind of realized, like, I talked to like a family member and they said like, oh yeah, this person was a Nepo baby. This person was basically, they never experienced hardship until they came into America. They were in a place that was a third world, people would call it a shithole, but this person never felt struggle in the same way until they left that supposed shithole. And like, I thought to myself, like, oh, interesting, this person raised me. I could feel that like this person has resentment.
The thing is that like, I do want to get into
kind of like things, but I never had any confirmation.
Me and my wife have been through similar things. Like, I shit you not, when we were renting a house under this one guy, and like, if I ever get post-docs, I'm gonna be blasting his ass on social media.
Oh,
but
hell
the
yeah,
thing
dog.
is, yeah, absolutely, and I'm gonna be going after another landlord is because of the fact that I have nothing to hide about, is because like, I shit you not, I had to confront this guy. About like, you know, there was a family living in the unit above us. It was 84 degrees, mold was growing on the walls, they had a disabled daughter, and they hadn't repaired the AC in 3 months. And I got it all on video too. I document these things just because the thing is like, it's like, I just got to show it to them on a private YouTube video.
Yeah, I do too.
So I showed him, I was like, is this ever acceptable that you haven't repaired an AC unit for a family living on the second floor in the middle of southern summer heat with a disabled daughter? How do you think this would look in the public eye? Let's get this really closely.
Like, honest to God, with you talking about this stuff has given me fucking inspiration to do something about it. Because look, you know a little bit of my story, okay? Like I fucking
everybody. I want to go and say this publicly, but like, if you do have a situation where you've been in similar to us, myself and my wife, I do encourage you to reach out to me. I'll help you out with the PR. I'll help you make out your public case. Empire is more than willing to help you out, because the fact is a lot of people feel alone. But yeah, go ahead and it is going to show inspiration, because I'm glad. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear people getting inspired, is because the fact is you don't need to live in fear of these people who are taking advantage of you.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Because my story is, you know how I did my 4 years in the military and then I got out, and getting out was a fucking goddamn shit show. But I got out and I actually landed a pretty good fucking place right outside of the base, and like I hit the ball running, and I just thought it was too good to be true. And then soon enough, like, mold started growing through the fucking ceiling. So I said, okay, this is kind of fucked. So I just get the landlord to like, hey, you know, something's weird growing on the fucking ceiling. Can we get a mold test for the house? So literally her complete demeanor fucking changes. Okay. And she sits on this mold test to be ordered. You know what's going on in the background? She's talking with the homeowner of what to do. So they get the fucking mold tested, and then they sit on the fucking results for 2 weeks. Mind you, I have a 10-month-old daughter, and that was going to be her fucking room. Okay,
Wow.
so here we are. They finally
Sorry
give me
about
the
that.
results, and they're like, yeah, so here are the results. The house is actually like 20 times beyond the recommended level to live in, and
Oh,
we're
Jesus
just gonna
Christ.
have to kick you out. I was like, oh, okay, so you got me like somewhere to stay. You're gonna pay for like my storage, right? No. And I was like, okay, so what the fuck? If I get a fucking lawyer, what the fuck are you? And then like, she got so fucking hostile with me about like threatening me with fucking lawfare. And then, dude, I shit you not, and you know the rest of my story
It's
was
time to
just
do
a
it back
bunch
for
of
the
fucking
people now.
bullshit. And it was just so much bullshit after that. Like, it's taken me 2 years to get back on my feet, and I'm still struggling. I can't even get fucking approved for WIC, and I have another baby now. And I'm never going to let that fucking happen again. But honest to God, it just dawned on me. All I needed to make was a fucking video at the bare minimum about that stupid bitch. So
Like,
that's
think
all I
about it
got
this
to
way.
say.
It's like this audience right here, and post a Luigi hat in the chat if you're tired of your fucking landlord. Post the green hat in the chat. The thing is, this is the point of this show, this radio, if you want to call it that, is to basically allow people to come forward and defend themselves and give power back to the people. That's the whole point of it. I want people to be sharing their experiences because they want us to suffer in silence. It's like the whole HR game they do to working class people. They like to make you feel like you're alone in the problem, that you're the lone problem, even though they're telling everybody that. What they're afraid of is everybody coming together, sharing an experience, and realizing they're not alone as they think they are. You know, I've shared my experience of the shitty landlords we've had. I don't hide the fact that I would literally make sure that because I was actually making a tenants union against my previous landlord, saying like, you're getting all these complaints here going on. You know, disabled daughter on the second floor, mold for 3 months. It's unlivable. This is unacceptable that you haven't. And he was like, well, why are you speaking on behalf of this tenant? It's like, because they asked me to. That's it.
Yeah. By the way, before I wanted to add, just so you know, your town likely has a landlord-tenant attorney that you can reach out to. I would highly recommend that you do that. It is a resource that's usually made available if you live anywhere near a like any kind of city that has over 10,000 people. And usually you can get the city to maybe write a letter. They won't help you, but they will probably write a letter,
There's a way
help.
there's ways to bust people's balls to basically get what you want, and that's very important. Is because the fact is you have to have leverage in a relationship, right? Okay, and that's the important thing. It's like, okay, when it comes to like certain state legislatures, you know, if you have a strong case that they're not doing reasonable repairs over things that are essential that you might have bought with an apartment and you signed your lease, it's like, yeah, you can withhold portions of rent, but you also have to make sure it's a publicly defensible case before, because you don't want an eviction suit to go against you. You have to answer before a judge, and I think, you know, Empire is probably more aware of how that goes about, right? You have to look like that you're trying to make a reasonable effort to get these things fixed, right? But there's ways to do it, like, you know, basically demanding, like, you know, clear defined dates of when they intend to do the fix or whatever, or, you know, if they continually show that they're failing, you know, you can start building a paper trail on them and essentially, you know, take it from there.
Sorry to derail the conversation a little bit.
Can I?
I did. Sorry.
Go on.
I did notice there was a guy. He did take me a little bit ago. I wish I should have read it. When I was kind of going on about how they keep pushing credit cards, he said corporate companies don't make money selling product anymore. That's why corporates demand their wages push credit cards, because the financing makes them money, and they push their rewards program, which is mineable data to sell. Capitalism has gotten rotten to the fashion where providing good service isn't actually profitable anymore. That is actually a very good point, because literally people see instant rewards and they don't think about how much data they actually put in. Like, I work for them and I don't have a rewards account. I have my employee number, but I do not attach any of my personal stuff to it anymore.
That's good.
Because it is literally, like, when I looked at that email I signed it up for, there was dozens of emails and that was the email that leaked more. That email leaked. My other email is almost 14 years old. I've always changed passwords and stuff like that. The other one is less than 2 years old. And as soon as I signed up for that rewards account, that was the first one to get hit with scam emails and shit like that.
Yeah.
That is actually what they try to do. And I don't mean to just kind of derail the conversation further, but I'm just going to point out, have you guys seen how insane the weather is this year? Like, this is the first tangible year we are seeing the effects of climate change. Like,
yeah,
right now we have had so much tornado activity. I mean, we had a tornado in the state I lived in February that hit almost Category 4 strength.
Damn.
That
I'm
is
over in South
insane.
Carolina,
We've had
so I've been experiencing it since Hurricane Helen. So
that's
Yeah.
that's the
it's
thing.
fucking crazy.
I live in a state where, well, I'm just gonna say it, I live in Michigan. Michigan should not be having thunderstorms in January and February. We should not be having severe weather every year. Like, we've had nothing but severe weather. And then you got places like Corpus Christi right now, which is about to run out of water because they have 1% left of their aquifer because of how extreme their drought is and how basically their local council sold them out for the corporates down there.
Yeah.
Like, we are seeing two massive extremes. That's not even including like Arizona. Like, did you guys know the Colorado River is actually in danger of drying out? Because
yes,
right now what happens is we have foreign countries that come in and they make orders for wanting wheat to be harvested and stuff in very arid climates that cannot support it year round because they don't want to grow it in their own country because of how water intensive it is.
Makes me wonder why the fuck we grow nothing but corn in the Midwest and we grow all of our like main produce goods in deserts. It's crazy to me.
Yeah. It doesn't make
here's
any
the green
sense.
chat. Where's the green hat in the chat? You know, at the end of the day, you know, like the thing is like I do want people to like come forward and share their experiences with this stuff because the fact is the cost of living crisis is not going to get better and people need to start standing up for themselves.
Actually, I came on to. Do you mind if I share? Well, it's not like a permanent landlord, but
I've been waiting to speak.
It's a landlord who, like, okay. So, as of like a couple years ago, I was gonna go to a technical college. Did go to a technical college, and because I had to move a bit, I had to go to an apartment. So I went to this place called the Groves over in the Clemson area. I walked in. I was like, they wanted a pretty standard deposit, or at least I thought they were gonna go, hey, give us like $1.5K a month for the months you'll be here, plus a deposit of $4K, so that way if you damage anything, we can just take that. Yeah. I negotiate, and I'm like, hey,
security deposit.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna be here for very long. Like, I'm gonna be here for like maybe a semester and a half. So I just want it in the contract that like I'm gonna be here for a semester and a half, and could I like take the security deposit like a little bit down because of that? And they agreed because they're like, okay, yeah, your previous history all looks good. Everything goes fine. I go do my classes as usual, get my certificates, and then I pack up, leave. Month passes, and you know what I get a call about?
What's
hey, we're missing half your security deposit.
Shut the
and I was like,
shit.
what do you mean you're missing half my security deposit? I negotiated it half down. It's in the fucking contract. Then they make a whole deal about, oh, but you left up some residual damage. Oh, you left some water damage. Dude, there was a fucking hurricane while I was there. Not only that, but like still, it's in the fucking contract. Why are we doing this? Like,
yeah,
if
like,
you think it's too much of a risk, why are you doing this?
Yeah,
so,
like, go on.
We go back and forth. This shit lasts 5 months of this nonsense back and forth. They go, oh, I'm gonna get the state attorney. Oh, I'm gonna go do this. Oh, I'm gonna do that. I just say, I'm not paying shit. Just let me know when to see me in court.
Fucking landlords are so insufferable. They're gonna try and sue you. Okay, so did you have a lease agreement that said like the explicit amount, and they tried to change it like after the fact?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
That
Their argument doesn't stand up. Like, good luck presenting that before a judge and then arguing that.
Well, obviously not, because they didn't take me to court. They were just trying to weasel their way into an extra 1K.
Yeah, that's how that works. They will try to do that is because the fact is they'll make up a bullshit case, and you probably asked the Empire about that. Sometimes you got to do the fear tactics or a paper tiger to get, like, you know, somebody to, like, pay the other side. Like, that's what lawyers and, like, people will do. It's very common. especially with law. So like, yeah, like as long as it doesn't say anywhere in contract, and you know they're trying to get additional money, it's a giant paper tiger, and you should just kind of ignore it and tell them to go pound sand.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what I said.
As a standpoint, just as a standpoint, here's the two things you need to do. You do need to absolutely create a paper trail, and you do, anytime you have a conversation on the phone with anybody, you should send them an email afterwards and go over what you discussed on the phone. Your word means literally nothing in a court of law, but an email is worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, if it isn't written down, it didn't happen. That's a golden
or if
rule.
you record it too, and most states are one-party consent states, so you know you're pretty much good in that one. I think with the exception of California, but that's kind of thing. You need to have documentation and a paper trail over this stuff, because like they will literally like lie, and that's how they do it all the time. It's like that's peak HR bullshit, and you just got to cover your own ass.
Yeah, is that either way? Like that to me, that sticks out as an example of. It's what landlords do. They're trying to get money out of doing nothing. Well, I guess get money out of harassing me for 5 months, but still. Yeah. Anyway, that's it. I'm a bleak state now.
No, that's good. I'm glad you kind of shared it, because like that's the tactics they'll do. I want more people talking about this stuff, is because the fact is, again, you don't have to live alone. You don't have to live in fear of these people. And so the fact is, the more people who come forward and share their experience, the more people will realize that you're not as alone as you think you are. And that's the whole point of why I'm starting this podcast. I mean, obviously, I'm still going to be doing my long-form video content. I've got more videos coming out, but I also want to be able to have one-on-one conversations with people, like a one-on-one manner, if they want to come to talk to me on a stage, if they really want to. Like, you know, because sometimes comments, you know, don't have the ambiguity that, like, you know, language like this just doesn't have, okay? And so people being able to express themselves, you know, in a conversation usually goes further than just, like, reading comments in a comment section.
It's the tonality and the stuff that wouldn't be understood through like voice aren't there. I get what you're saying.
I'm a social person. I like to be able to read people, and so the fact is there's a lot of lost information when it comes to reading a comment. Like, you can't tell, like, you know, off face value some comments, like, whether they're being, like, sarcastic, or they're being, like, serious and stuff like that. But, like, in a one-on-one conversation, you can read people a lot better and kind of understand and gauge their, like, it's almost like reading body language. You can read them a lot better to kind of understand the context in which somebody's saying, and that's why I prefer, like, talking to people in a voice chat as opposed to just, you know, doing it through text or comment sections. So, you know, that's why I do invite people to come on stage and chat with me if they really want to. It's an open stage.
Yeah, and it blows my mind because I've heard these people talk about stuff like this. You talk about this, and just a situation like Ty had and some other people that have come up on stage.
I gotta
you
tell
guys
the microwave story
seriously
next.
No,
yeah,
can I step
you
in?
guys are seriously not alone in this issue.
go next.
I've had friends who deal with this kind of shit. Air conditioner go out. The landlord drags their feet, doesn't want to do anything, and so many other stories with mold and collapsing ceilings and floors. And I'm just like,
of the collapsed ceiling in a garage from like one of the landlords. You know, maybe that if I remember going to post docs or whatever, like I'll show it to you guys. But it's impressive the shit that landlords get away with.
And here's my sentiment on this: if you're wanting to be a landlord, if anything, your tenant telling you about something is a favor because they're letting you know that your property's value is going down because something's messed up. Fix
I'm
your
gonna give
stuff.
a more important point.
Awesome.
I'm gonna bust their balls, is because the fact is most of these people are boomers with 9 Airbnb rentals. They've got a ton of they've got a ton of liquidity.
The
they
camera
have
and the fucking shower faucet.
and they have a ton. They have a ton of wealth to actually fix these things. There's literally no excuse why they cannot, with all that wealth, fix these things. And on top of that, force you to pay current market rent prices for a property they bought 30 or 40 years ago. No, I'm gonna bust your balls. I'm gonna bust your balls. That's literally what my landlord did. I was like, we're paying $2,000 a month towards your property that's falling apart when you bought it 8 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, pre-COVID, for like $100K, maybe with the 2% interest rate. And if you haven't already paid it off, it's like you maybe have a mortgage at most of like $700 a month, and you expect me not to bust your balls about repairing a fucking shower faucet? No, I'm gonna be taking this against you. What's up, man?
I actually seen this YouTuber that I really like,
One at a time,
and
guys.
his name's like Bill Mahy, and he basically has this. He's basically like a property manager. Like he does this thing where he like renovates places. He just renovates them, and then he fixes them up a little bit. He tries to spend as like little money as possible, but like get the most money, which is exactly what you're describing. But he generally has like a property manager, so like he's able to do stuff. Which is kind of
I've
weird,
talked to
like-
guys like that.
Oh, also, I also wanted to bring up public transport and the Palantir thing that we haven't gotten to yet.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that we're kind of skipping on this, but we're just kind of
I'll
talking about
go
landlords
and-
because I'm about to
yeah,
give a
I
story
have a
next.
lot to say
Yeah.
about Palantir.
Well, can I say something to Alistair? Alistair, like, let me say something right now.
All right,
sorry,
go for it,
sorry,
Lauren, then we're gonna
guys.
go with new. But yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah,
I
like,
wanted to
like,
finish my
I'll step
thought.
off.
Damn.
Okay, let
I'm
Ari
sorry.
finish. Never mind. Too many people on the stage. This is kind of a problem, but
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah, understandable.
Yeah. Alistair, you talk over me. Rah. Nah, but just the last thing I was gonna wrap up with is like it blows my mind that so many landlords drag their feet on stuff. And I'm just here like if you
Drink their
can't
feet.
handle being in the business of being a landlord, then just get the fuck out. Like seriously, if you
Exactly.
can't handle it,
Like,
you
fucking
cry like that,
exactly.
you can't do it, get out. Please.
Yo, let me tell you
The
this.
thing is,
Like,
they don't even
my
have to do as much because they
Yeah, like,
have they pay other people to do their jobs for them.
Exactly.
So how are they even struggling?
That's antisocial. I gotta speak out in the chat, man. You are fighting with everybody in the chat. You need to take a chill pill, is because you are just like fighting with everybody, man. Not everybody's a fucking enemy in this chat. Just chill out for about 2 seconds, okay? Like,
I did know
I
that
thought-
they
I thought
like
you talked about someone
I
that
see
was
you
in like
fighting
the
with like
BC.
literally everybody. Like I've seen like 7 different people tell you to chill out. I'm gonna tell you to chill out too, is because you're just pissing everybody off. But yeah, go on. Ari.
even Empor one up them and
Hey,
they're still
bros,
like, well,
bros,
I didn't need
let's
anyone
do
to
his
agree
name,
with me. Relax, man.
Yeah, we can get on the Palantir manifesto, but I do want to share my story about the microwave thing, because I shit you not, me and my wife are renting a house, the one that we were paying $2,000 a month, right? The one that we know, because I checked the property records, that he bought in 2017, probably for about $100K, has at most a mortgage payment of $700 a month, while we're paying $2,000 a month towards rent. And, we asked him about the microwave. He said it was brand spanking new when we fucking, started renting the place, when we signed the lease agreement, okay? And the funny part is he wasn't lying. It just didn't work, and we didn't know why. And we found out why later down the fact. We were asking him, like, has the microwave ever worked? Like, well, it's brand new. I installed it when I first bought the property. I'm like, you mean when you bought the property, like, 8 years ago? And you installed it and never wired it up, and none of the previous tenants that you had here ever used it, is because you told them it was brand spanking new, you just never wired it up, and you just went silent. I'm like, are you serious, buddy?
Oh my god, bro.
Yeah.
Yo,
I was
but
like,
Alistair, let me tell you this.
seriously?
let me tell you this right now. Sorry. Like, let me tell you this.
Go on.
Like, let me shut the door right now. I don't want like anyone hearing me. But like, yo, I remember this is 2021, 2022. I just got to this city. Moving here with like my parents. With the parent like that I told that I mentioned in the comments that like was the Nepo baby. Funnily enough, like he was the one that like basically said like, oh yeah, this guy, he's not sharing his money. Someone has to share his money, and it has to be him. Some dumb shit like that. And the plumbing in our house broke. Something in the house broke. It always breaks for some reason. And then like they basically came. The landlord came here. They said like, oh yeah, like they said like, oh yeah, like you have to move somewhere with your dad. You have to move somewhere with your dad. Like, and the worst part about it is like, I am African. We are all African, and it's like you are trying to like loosh me and say like, oh, you have to go somewhere, not rent a house, buy a house with your dad.
Yeah.
With your money at a milk factory, and it's like, how am I gonna do that? And I just basically just laughed, and I tried to act like I was crying because I was just like, you can't be fucking serious. And I'm like, I was blue pilled on capitalism, but I was like, bro, like you cannot be serious. You think I rent this house for no reason, just for the love of the game?
Oh yeah, dude, my landlord got mad is because we rented a 3-bed, 2-bath like house or whatever, right? Standard family house and stuff like that, but it was falling apart, like garage like ceiling caved in on my car one day and stuff like that. I shit you not. But when we were forcing him to do repairs, because I threatened to invoke state law and start deducting money from rent if he didn't actually do it, because I read through the state laws. He got really mad. He was like, "Why are you trying to steal from my money? Do you just hate successful people?" He just went on the standard boomer rant in front of me and my wife. We're like, "Are you fucking serious, dude? Because we're asking you to fix your property." I was like, okay, I don't mean to be an asshole. We're in the South. There are very little ways that I could legally screw you over through the legal system, is because the law is designed to
But if I
benefit
can,
the
I will.
Yeah, and so I told
It
him,
just reminds me of the phrase I say all the fucking time. If I didn't do my job, I'd be fired.
Yeah,
Like,
so I
come on.
laughed at him. I told him,
like-
I was like, there's very
Fuck
little
outta here.
avenues I can go through the law to basically screw you over. Now, what if somebody wanted to screw you over, I pointed out to the tenant next doors, because this is when rents were skyrocketing and stuff like that, and they were being complete assholes and stuff like that. Like, the tenants, like, next door literally ripped up the entire house. Like, they smashed the garage. It was really bad. I was like, if you want to talk about dangerous tenants, it's like, those are those guys over there. You know, me and my wife are law-abiding citizens, so I don't know why you're, like, getting mad at us for asking you to repair your property,
exactly.
buddy.
That's
And he's,
the
like,
worst part
grunting.
about it, because like
He's grunting about the guest bathroom. He was like, well, what do you need the spare bathroom for? And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Last I checked,
What do you need
I'm
it for?
Yeah, I know. I said, last I checked, I'm renting a 3-bed, 2-bath, not a 3-bed, 1-bath. Because, I mean, after all, I'm paying $2,000 a fucking month for it. So, yeah, I would
outta
like
here,
it fixed because I'm
bitch-ass
renting
nigga.
it and I'm paying for it. And it's like, I pointed out the property records and he got mad, acting like I was, doing some invasion of privacy, even though I just did, like, basic, like,
Yeah, he
OS
painted
or
you
whatever.
as like the bad one.
You
in that
typed in like 3
situation.
keys.
I literally pointed out, I was like, assuming you bought this property in 2017, you maybe bought it for $120 at most. And so the mortgage payment, assuming you haven't already paid off this house, you have a mortgage payment that's maybe at most $700 a month. And me and my wife are paying $2,000 a month. Fix the fucking bathroom, bro. Oh my God.
Exactly, bro. That's the worst part about it, because like, you know what happened with in our house? Like me specifically, I was having a lot of different issues in this house. Our family was having a lot of different issues. Oh yeah, this was broken. That was broken. You know what the common denominator in the landlord's mind was? Oh, your son broke it. And it's like, oh, what son? What son specifically? Oh yeah, your son broke the upstairs bathroom. I sleep downstairs. There's like a basement bathroom. There's a one upstairs. I sleep downstairs, nigga. Like, I sleep downstairs. I don't go upstairs unless I'm gonna use the shower, unless I'm gonna brush my teeth. And it's like, oh, I broke the upstairs bathroom. Oh, word. And I broke the front door, and like I broke everything in the house. Oh, word. That's how it happened. When I usually every single thing that you're mentioning, and you don't even come around here enough to understand this. Every single thing you're mentioning, I avoid because it's basically logistically like troubling for me to use that at a high frequency. And you're blaming me, and you're not saying like, oh, the specific son, that son, whatever. You're saying your son, and I know what you meant because I was told this. And I thought, oh yeah, like I had a conversation with you about how I have struggles with alcohol and weed and not different drugs, like, oh yeah, crack or whatever, but it's like I have struggles that a lot of men face, and you basically just latched onto the one thing and just blame me for this. And it's like, I asked my father, like, hey, give me the landlord's number. I try to lie to him and say like, oh yeah, give me the number because like I want to, like, I talk to them at church, whatever, boom, boom, boom. I want to like network with their business. You want me out of this house, right? He would not even allow me to have their number. He said, look it up, find the business, whatever. I'm like, they don't have a business. They attend a church. They attend the church. I want to find the number so I can hold them. So I can like fucking like bitch them and like just like make sure that they never do this again.
They have to have a legal name or address, even if they're going through an LLC, is because they have to have representation in court if you want to sue them. Like, that's kind of the thing. It's like, no matter how much they want to weasel their way out, it's like, there are ways to find them through the county property record, okay? And that's kind of thing. He got mad because I started crunching the numbers on him, and I was like, dude, it's like you have multiple rental properties. He, of course, uses your stereotypical fucking boomer, and he screams out like, "You're the worst tenant I've ever had." I got to tell you about the garbage disposal.
You're the worst
story.
tenant. I remember that video.
Yeah. But so the garbage disposal, right? It went out. Okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know, and I was like, that means I'm doing something right if you're crying. So the thing, it was a funny thing. Garbage disposal went out. Okay, and he was basically doing this shit. It's like, so basically what he was doing is he would refuse to repair anything. Like, you know, when the ceiling collapsed on my car when I was heading out to work after like 1 month in the lease, okay? I document everything is because the fact is, yeah, I know, right? I document everything is because I like to keep a list, because the fact is landlords will play this game. Like, if you're long enough into the lease, they'll accuse you of damaging the property, but I like to keep a paper trail on people because I know exactly what he was going to do. So I took a picture and sent it to him. I made sure I like sent it directly to his DMs through text message just to kind of keep a paper trail because it has a timestamp. Yeah, and so like I tell him, I was like, you know, hey, this is okay. It's like, you know, the ceiling collapsed in. I was like, could you come in and get this repaired? He's like, I'll do this in like 3 months or something. He said he would do it after a period of time, but he just kept delaying and delaying and delaying. Well, eventually, this is funny.
These people before.
Yeah, the fucking stove went out. Basically there was like an electrical problem where the stove went out, and basically the coil would not turn off. I had to go to the breaker to actually turn it off. So major fucking fire hazard. I'm staring out there taking pictures. Yeah, and I take off the knob, realizing it's just in some kind of weird glitch state where it just won't turn off. I sent him a picture of it doing that. He was like, well, I don't know how you broke it, dude, because it's always worked with all the other tenants, which is lying, because I actually spoke to the other tenants. And then the garbage disposal goes out.
You just broke it because. Sorry.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like... Yeah, I was like, funny, do you tell all your tenants that? Because I even told him, I was like, I've been talking to the other tenants. I was like, I got their experiences. Do you really want, like, you know, you can't keep doing the same thing to everybody, buddy. Garbage disposal goes out. Yeah. You get the magic smoke come out of it. You could smell it. It smells like burnt wires and stuff like that, right? You know what he does when I asked him, I was like, yeah, I know, right? I asked him, I was like, can you repair and stuff like that? He takes a sweet time, right? Literally until I start threatening to invoke state law. Does he actually start repairing anything? And then when he does come out, he was like, you're trying to ruin my life because I'm successful and you're not. I'm like, oh my God, dude. I just want you to repair it and leave. It's like you're acting like a literal 60-year-old baby. And so basically he comes in, he starts changing out the garbage disposal, which was like $60. I don't expect it, as long as the garbage disposal, like, you know, I signed a lease agreement. He throws a fit, he says, well, I'm just going to take out the garbage disposal for all future tenants, because nobody needs it these days. It's not that anybody peels potatoes. So as soon as he's done doing the garbage disposal, I start peeling potatoes and start cooking like breakfast for me and my wife, just to piss him off. I'm like, don't use potatoes, huh, buddy? But yeah, no, he was a complete fucking prick, and I was like, dude, I'm gonna keep busting your balls until you like uphold me. You're part of the deal when it comes to the lease, because like I'm gonna hold you responsible for it. But yeah, you know, he kept delaying like an infinite amount of times, and it's like, you know, he was like, you're trying to ruin my life kind of bullshit. I'm like, no, I'm just asking you to do the repairs, and then I'm never gonna talk to you again. Like that's basically what I'm trying to get you to do.
Like, so, what reason? What are they there for other than to like give you housing?
I had to tell him like explicitly, it's like we're in one of the most like, pro-landlord states, and you think there's very many legal avenues I can screw you over through the court system. You're dumb, dude. Like seriously, I just want you to do the repairs and, you know, be done with it. And I've never, as I told him straight up, I was like, in what world is it okay? Like what loss do you have repairing your own frickin' property, dude? It's like you're not losing anything.
It should be profit.
Okay?
It should be a long-term investment, but they only think in terms of like, oh, am I gonna profit from this in my lifetime? Or is someone else gonna profit off my back? They think like, oh, are my children gonna steal from me, or can they do this? This is how I've experienced this. I told like this wicked ass motherfucker, like this my fucking father, like, hey bro, like if you spend more money feeding me, clothing me, basically housing me, than giving me the ability to like leave on my own. Me personally, you have to call me to come back home. I don't want to be here. My heart is on the streets, it's on the road, it's on the sea. I'm a pirate at heart, and you want to keep me here? You don't profit from this. But these people want control, and this is one thing about like billionaires, rich people, people like that. Rich people like that. There's this guy, his name is Saros.
Dude, let's get some wage rage in the chat. Start posting some green hats, everybody.
Dog.
Let's get that energy. Let's get some wage rage in the chat here.
Yeah, this guy fucking like, this guy Saros, he's like he has similar health issues I've had. He had sciatica. Yeah. Actually was watching him before I realized he had sciatica, and I realized like, okay, he has similar symptoms to me, but me personally, I just walk around. But let's not talk about that. He said like, oh, if I basically get 1 million likes on Twitter, will Elon Musk give me $1 million? And my comment got like 3 likes over the span of like 7 days. I said no, and the specific reason that he won't give you $1 million is the same reason that America, that a lot of these other places have no
Let's get some green hat energy in the chat. We need some wage rage in the chat. They're not going to change anything until you start getting pissed off. That's right. Exactly. That's what I'm seeing. Start putting some wage rage in the chat. I like when my people have the energy saying, no, fuck the landlord and billionaire class.
Exactly. I'll try to explain to him that, like, hey, bro, like...
Yeah.
Sorry, like, I don't want to, like...
No, you're going, man.
I'm trying to explain to him that, like, hey, bro, like, you are someone that is seen as, like... lower than like these billionaire people. They look at you and they see something less than them. Yeah. And like if you had money, you are charismatic, young, like black dude that's on the left that has the ability to speak for a long period of time, do you understand what would happen to the landscape if like a million of people like you, better or worse than you, had that money but they're young? They're competition. They're gonna compete for the hose, for like the resources, for the limited market space in the mind of these billionaires. They don't want you to have the power to change your life. They want to give you the ability that, like, oh, if you're useful, I can give you the power to get a little bit ahead. Or if you're not useful or you're harmful, I will put you down a couple tiers.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Can I just like go on a?
Yeah, go for it, man.
Hey,
I'll let you go next.
Can I go ahead and basically? Can I go ahead and like talk about the? No, you're cool. So.
Oh, you cut out, man. Might be an internet issue. Yeah, no, wage rage in the chat, absolutely,
about
dude.
how
Everyone's
all
got an
these
experience.
boomers
There you
with
go.
Money.
Oh, go on.
Yeah, like all the only thing that matters to these boomers is like basically image. Everything is image, and also kind of a small anecdote though. But I had an experience where I had a boomer landlord who, like, I was literally doing my job. I had a welding business, and I was fabricating some rails for a customer's trailer. You know, and I had to go deliver it and do an install. And the boomer landlord, he wanted me to do something. I forget what it was. And when I didn't immediately drop everything to do what he wanted, he started like literally stomping his foot. He was doing something that my fucking
Boomers
he was
are mentally fucking children. Like I wasn't lying when I said that. Go on.
Also, I had
bro,
this,
what lead paint does to a motherfucker, bro?
Let him finish.
No,
let him finish the story, man.
Same dude. Yeah, so same dude. I was giving my boomer landlord a ride. His car broke down. I was giving him a ride somewhere. I forget where the fuck we were going. I think it was Best Buy or some dumb shit. And this motherfucker refused to put his seatbelt on. And he did that fucking child thing that my fucking 4-year-old nephew does, where he like did a protest where he put like the seatbelt around. He just put his one arm around the seatbelt like, there, it's on. I'm like, this fucking guy.
Yeah. Boomers are mentally fucking children, and I've said this many times in my videos, especially my older ones. Boomers grew up in a time where their existence was relatively inconsequential, so them acting like petulant fucking children is quite literally a consequence of them growing in an era of abundance, where the stupid shit that they did had no impact on their future success. Like, you can see it with their mentality. It's like, you look at like leftist boomers and stuff like that, why they're so eager to dox people and go after people, like especially in the Northeast. The reason they like to do that is because the fact is they're used to living in a world where, like, oh, if they lost their job, it's not the end of their livelihood. You know, that's the world that they grew up in. So the thing is, being homeless is not a consequential thing. And so, you know, that's the reason why in their protests they lay on the floor like children, is because the fact is it's like they grew up in a time where, like, if they acted and screamed like, you know, children, you know, mommy and daddy would give them what they wanted.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
By the way, Alistair,
like,
the thing is that you're absolutely correct in here. And the irony of all of this is that if you look at it, the boomers, the age that boomers actually take over is in the late 80s. In the 90s, and they've maintained a throttle, but that means that every single accomplishment before that was not theirs. Since they have taken over the United States, politically speaking, since they've taken over the United States, we've experienced an extremely rapid decline. Their parents, the greatest generation ever, finally were pretty much out of power by the late 80s, and then it was handed over to the boomers, who immediately collapsed the system, sell everything, export as much as we can over to China, and then essentially, you know, collapse the United States. And it's in one generation.
Can I say something?
Yeah. I also want to finish my boomer rant, or one of two, or at least one of two. So just kind of add to what you were saying though about the you know, their children. They're just like, it's my money and I want it now. Like, that's who you're dealing with, right? So I had multiple boomers evict me for various reasons, some legitimate, some not. And, you know, legally speaking, in the state of Texas, they have to give you at least 3 days notice.
3 days only.
I think one of them actually did that. The other ones, like, they just fucking cut power to your house. So, like, all the food in my fridge spoiled. You know, my fucking UPS battery went fully
So-
drained, so the battery shot on my UPS. And when
My
you call
biggest-
the cops to like have them in, when I called the cops, they're like, okay, we'll talk to them, and then like the cops and then the boomer on the one occasion that the cops actually did call the boomer like, oh, you fucking cops, you can't tell me what to do, and like they just don't go to jail. They don't nothing happens. They turn your power off and they get away with it. There's nothing like there's no punishment for like. And I was like, hey, well, are you going to arrest this guy? Oh no, that's a civil matter. Anytime it's
have to
anything
be a pain in the ass.
matter.
You have to know how to be a legal pain in the ass, and that's something. The thing is that, like, okay, if they file an eviction suit against you and they don't have just cause, you know, you can it's a small window, but the thing is, you can show up to court and explain your side of the story, right? You know, like more often than not, you don't even need lawyers because the fact is, it's literally just between two parties, anyways. I'm pretty sure like Empire can kind of like elucidate on that one, but the thing is that like you can't contest that court case. Like somebody can file an eviction suit for no fucking reason. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to hold. And that's why you should just show up to it anyways, just to contest it.
Yeah. Hey, Alistair, like one thing I was gonna say, like
Oh, sorry, man. The last one though, the most recent
That's fine.
eviction, it was like the most bullshit thing ever. So I was running my welding business, you know, kind of the tail end of it. I'll tell you about that, you know, later if you want. But so I got a call at like 9 p.m. and then I had to go do a job that was like 3.5 hours away. And then the job lasted like 15 hours or something. It was like a day and a half, 2 days. And so I've effectively been, and then you know, and then I get done, I get paid, and you know, it's pretty good payday. It's about $1,500. I massively underbid it. I underestimated how long it would take. That's my fault. That's just the nature of running a business.
I like that trend. Every time we talk about shitty bosses, the green hats pop up in my chat. That's what I like to see. I like that energy, man. Like people getting angry. It's like, all right, dude, the green caps go on. Some shitty landlords doing shady shit. It's time to post the green hat.
So anyway,
that's gonna become a hate symbol really quickly. Watch that.
Oh
It's
yeah,
gonna be funny.
it has to
take over the stage.
That is
anyway.
Guys, can I take over the stage?
Yes. Anyway, so my boss, so my landlord calls me up. He's like, hey, your dog is doing dog things, and I'm like, well, what do you want me to do about it? I'm literally 3 hours away. And by the way, when he calls me up with this dumb shit, I've effectively been awake for 30 hours straight. I'm not. I'm a. You know, you might say I'm a little pissed off because I've been awake for 30 hours straight, and the wheel bearing on my truck went out, so I'm in the O'Reilly parking lot fixing that. You know, as I'm awake for 30 hours, and I still got to drive for 3 more hours to get back home. And I come home at like 4 a.m, and at the crack of like 4:30 in the morning, this fucking boomer like bangs on my bro. I collapsed on my fucking floor in front of the front door. I couldn't even make it to the bed, and I wake up to a fucking loud ass bang on my door.
No,
I'm sorry. I'm skipping ahead. So I've been awake for 30 hours, and my landlord calls me up to bitch about my dog, and I'm sitting here like, what do you want me to do? I'm 3 hours away. And he starts going on a fucking boomer where he starts doing that tirade thing where, well, we're going to have to figure something out, or we're going to have, I don't know what we are going to do about this. And I turn my fucking phone off and I get back to fixing the wheel bearing. And I say, I'm been awake for 30 hours. I'm not very stable.
Yeah.
So I'm like, listen, I don't fucking have time to deal with your bullshit. I will deal with you when I have a chance. And I said it exactly like that because I was just sufficiently pissed off, and I've been awake for 30 hours, so I'm not exactly smart.
Rightfully so, man. Yeah,
very
you can't really do a lot of
be talked to like that. No man should be talked to like that. You don't deserve it.
Yeah, you don't deserve the hate.
And so, anyway, so I turn my phone off, and after I get my, you know, obviously I need my GPS to get back home because I'm fucking like 4 towns away.
I hate these.
So I turned my phone off, and you know, it auto pings just a barrage of messages like, oh, you're very disrespectful, get the fuck out. You know, just messages to that.
Yeah, it's always the disrespect bullshit. I love that stuff. Like, that's kind of the thing. They'll play that card. It's like, you're being disrespectful. And I'm like, bitch.
Yeah, and if
Like,
you want me to give you
you're charging
respect,
$2K
you
a
might as well
month
shut
in
up.
rent. Like nobody cares.
Yeah.
Well, can I say
Anyways,
something right
so
now?
I get.
Oh, sorry.
Let him finish up his story.
Well, I
Yeah.
get a. So yeah, I'm on the floor, collapsed. I'm recovering from my like 30 to 35 hour shift at work.
Yeah.
You know, and I just I literally wake up like I get jump scared by a fucking bang on my door, which apparently was like inches from my head because I just collapsed as soon as I got home. And
why are you muted?
And I was like struggling to get up, and it was my fucking landlord. I'm like, hey, what's up? What do you want? And because I'm delirious and groggy, can't even really see anything.
Yeah.
Because you know, my brain's fried. I've been awake for 40 hours.
Yeah.
So and then he's like, hey, get my message? You gotta get the fuck out. Why aren't you out yet? And I'm
See,
just
that's
like,
illegal, by the
let
way.
me go to
That's
sleep.
illegal. That's yeah.
Yeah. And so while I'm like literally like I fucking see all the lights go off in my house, it fucking as I'm collapsing back on the floor.
That's highly
And then I
illegal.
wake
So he's
up
trying to
and-
kick you out. Like, did he try to kick you out before the lease agreement expired?
Yeah, no, he's literally tormenting me as I'm sleep deprived because like after he cut the power,
I'm tempted to say, do you
he
want to
immediately-
like get some green hats in the
he
chat, bro? It's
immediately-
like, let's start talking about names and addresses. This guy's a piece of shit. Like, I'm feeling the wage rate right now. It's like, all right, guys, we're getting close to the
For
names and
real.
addresses part.
Yeah. I think I actually remember the name and address of my landlord, but I don't want to interrupt this guy.
Yeah, keep on going, man.
But anyway,
But,
that's anyway, so he basically tormented me while I'm sleeping. He basically tormented me until I physically left. Until
you
I
can't hate
just got like a
boomers and rich
fucking-
people enough.
I
Oh my
got
fucking god.
Oh my fucking god.
Like I just straight up got an apartment. I not an apartment. I got a fucking motel so that I could sleep in peace. And I just kind of crossed my fingers. Hopefully all of my property doesn't go missing.
Yeah,
Because
like
that
let's
is
get some
something
fucking
this fucking
fucking
boomer
green
would do.
hats in the chat for bro here. Okay, this is some real porky fatigue. Like I'm almost to the point.
Yeah,
Like,
let me-
all right,
let me-
names
let me
and
say-
addresses. But hold on.
Let me say
Here's
this
the thing.
thing.
I don't know. I'll let you go next, but let me get this over with because we need to address legal. Okay. So interesting fact. I do want to tell you this. Okay. If that was before the lease agreement expired, what he did was technically illegal, highly illegal too, is because the fact is just as they can sue you for not paying rent over the terms of the lease agreement, you can sue back for that lost time too, because it goes both ways. It's a legally binding contract. So if he tried to kick you out of a place and the lease agreement is not over with, that's highly illegal and he has no right to do that.
Well, here's kind of the gray area. There was no lease agreement. It was just kind of a handshake deal.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that's null and void at
Yeah.
that point because now nothing exists, and
Yeah.
that's the tough part. So, like, that's why you always try and it goes both ways when you sign a legal agreement. So just recognize that. But yeah, that's the tough one. But yeah, oh my god, that's where you're. The thing is people like that, that is not the first time they've acted that way, and it's not going to be their last time. But we can make it their last time if we make them popular and start talking about them. And that's what I'm trying to do here.
Exactly.
I'm glad more people are coming to the stage and bringing it up, is because the fact is when we stand as individuals, we're easily conquerable, sharing experience, and we can start talking about these people. Because at one of the days, it's like, you know, if you need me to reach out to your landlord, and we can start doing some negotiations and going over state law, we can talk about that. Obviously, I'm not going to just immediately broadcast them unless they're really a piece of shit and they're in defiance of, like, you know, actual proper legal codes. But we can have a conversation with your landlord to basically get them to do their damn job. Because I've been through it before, and I'm sure you're going through it too.
Also,
No, I just
as
wanna-
a
I wanna
future thing,
transition
you
to,
should- even a napkin deal is good. Like, you need to write down some terms. I
Yes.
know that a lot of people do handshake deals, but don't do that.
Yeah, can I say something right
I
now?
want to transition. Can I just? I want to give.
No,
something
yeah, you
helpful
can
for-
go.
for the people
Yeah, let him go.
So I ran a welding business for 4.5 years, and the customers who did hire me, they loved my work. It was great. Obviously, you had some individuals who just like didn't pay you, and so I don't want to go on a tangent that might get your channel banned, but needless
Yeah,
to
don't
say,
do any Fed posty stuff. Like, we can keep this all within the realm of, like, what's legal. Yeah, I know, you're good.
Yeah. I'm just life pro tip. Just any, like, you don't have to, don't block out like if management calls you, But if anybody who lives in the Section 8 properties calls you, just like, you're not going to get paid. You're just fuck them, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay. Why is that? Like, is there any legal reason for that specifically? Because like, I kind of have some experience.
There's no legal reason that you
Just
have
a moral reason.
Like, as a, well, okay, think about it like, man, I'm really trying not to be racist here, okay?
If you want to be racist, just say what's on your heart.
No, not on my stream.
I'm not going to get Alistair's.
Oh yeah, sorry about
that.
Thank you. Yeah, I just thought it was a different chat.
Yeah, no, it's there's time and place. There's time and place. This ain't
yes,
it. But yeah. So 4.5 years of business, and let me just say that you're the wealthiest customers. Like I've had. There are good rich people, and there's a fuck ton of bad rich people.
Yep.
Right. I've had the mix. I've had the good ones who were like fucking. They're like, oh shit, this guy, he doesn't have the best, shiniest truck, but he's doing. Usually those people are ones who like they started from nothing and they actually have.
Oh yeah,
business.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so like that mechanic bro, you know, there's this 80-year-old mechanic guy who I was working alongside for this trucker dude. And by the way, that trucking guy, I'm not going to name drop him, but he's a return customer.
Next.
And he's a return customer of mine. And so the first time he called me, I had a semi-legitimate welding vehicle. It was a Ford Explorer, and you know, still not the official welding rig. You know, it's not the welder F350, right? But it's still a truck platform, kind of technically. And then like that truck broke down, and then I rolled up in my piece of shit Volkswagen Jetta, you know, with a tiny generator that's just barely sufficient for the job. And just because I was trying to get capital up to fix. Ideally, I'd like to have had my Ford F250, but I had my boomer uncle, the one who got murdered by a crackhead. He actually tried to extort me out of $800.
Wait, I thought you said he was a nice guy.
He's a nice guy sometimes, and then he gets drunk and he turns into a moron.
Oh no, bro.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So.
Damn, he's me for real.
So let me kind of backtrack on the story on that, right? So, when I first started my business, I had $5,000. I immediately first I had to work out the vehicle situation. So I got with my uncle, and his license was suspended because he drove into the side of the school like the Kool-Aid man.
Yeah.
And he went to jail for a year. He got special treatment because he was a veteran. But his license was suspended for a year after that.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, uncle, I will give you I will bring your truck back in better condition than I found it. In exchange, I get to use the vehicle that's technically in my name. So it's my truck.
Yeah.
I get to, and the reason it was in my name is because in order to get it not towed away and have it parked at my apartment, I had to have that vehicle put in my name while he was in jail.
Yeah.
So I spent all the money out of my own pocket on that.
Yeah, this nigga got lore.
Anyway, so all this is not important. So I immediately fulfilled my end of the deal. I fixed the transmission issue. I replaced the busted window. I fixed the tailgate that kept falling off into the road. I fixed all that shit. And then I spent $2,500. Most of that was on credit. So I had to pay the money back. It wasn't free. And just the credit card thing was just moving money around. That's just how you do in business.
Yeah.
But he saw that I had a bunch of shiny new tools. I guess in his boomer mind, I started a business 3 days ago, so I must be a millionaire. So now it's time to extort me.
Yeah, boomers and their perpetual failing upwards. I gotta tell you a story about my last boss, because this is you talked about like rich people who are self-made versus nepo babies, and I've got a fun fucking story next. But go on, man.
Just
actually bring up public transportation since he was talking about his truck.
Yeah.
Oh wait, hold on. That's a hard shit.
Story.
So So yeah, so he extorts. He's like, I want $800. And I'm like, well, you're
Fucking
not getting
boomers,
800
man.
bucks, and the truck's in my name, so you can't do shit about it. I'm gonna force you to hold up your end of the fucking bargain. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering why he wanted $800 so desperately, it's because he had a scammer. He had a scammer. It was apparently a dummy thick redhead from Michigan who loved him long time, and she needed $800 to get a train to Texas from Michigan. And I had to explain to my uncle, like, Uncle, this is America. We don't take trains across states. That's not something we do here. But he's like, no, we go way back. She loved me a long time, and I'm just like, okay. So he's falling
he
for the
probably fell for
Nigerian
the
prince scam, essentially.
Nigerian prince scam. Yeah, exactly. He's falling for that. Idiot. Boomers are so
he's trying to
insufferable,
extort me. And by the way, I'm on bond at this time. I'm on bond at this time for that whole like crackhead terrorist thing. And so my uncle calls up my dad, who's my co-signer.
You're on bond for that, because from what you told me, you seem very innocent, and they don't have any evidence against you.
But the thing is, it's not going to
Just
stop
because
people
you're innocent
from like.
doesn't mean they won't. That they won't.
try.
Just because you're innocent don't mean they won't. They won't butt fuck you.
It's called lawfare, man. That's
there
not
was
uncommon.
a famous.
So go on.
Yeah, and like they will prosecute somebody who's innocent just to get the numbers up in prison. Like there was that one black guy who was retarded, and he just sat in jail for like 60 years. And you know that's a famous case. I forget what his name was, but you just Google it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he called up my dad and got my dad all fucking rock because I just blocked his number because I was on the toilet trying to take a shit, and he just kept calling. I want my tractor. I want $800. I want my tractor. I want $800. And I'm like, well, you're not getting either. I fulfilled my end of the bargain. You're gonna fulfill yours. Like I'm forcing you to fulfill your. Like we had a deal, and I already paid out of my own pocket to fix your truck. Like I'm already $1,000 into this fucking deal. So fuck you, you know. Yeah. And you know, so anyway, skipping ahead, my dad called me up, and he's like, yeah, you stole your uncle's truck. And I tried to explain to my boomer dad, who, you know, and by the way, my boomer dad, just to give you an idea of how intelligent my boomer dad is, he sold 3 acres, a house, and the shop the size of his house for Adderall money. He sold it for all that.
Jesus,
yeah,
man.
he sold it. He literally sold it for fucking Adderall money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so he called me up and he's like, "You're gonna give your uncle his truck back, or you're going back to jail. I'm gonna write off on your bond." And so basically, I'm gonna lose the truck either way. So I just, here you go, Uncle. Here's your fucking truck. Don't contact me ever again. Fuck you. And I got an Uber to Houston to go pick up a piece of shit Ford F-150. And I get there, and the fucking guy who runs like a small time car dealership, this dumbass got apparently he got the fuel pump from a junkyard. Instead of getting it for $30 on Amazon.
Why would you get a fuel pump from a junkyard?
Because he's retarded. Anyway, so I get there, I take it for a test drive. And it literally fucking dies in the middle of the road. And I'm like, okay, what else do you have for $1,500? And he points to the piece of shit Ford Explorer that we all know and love. And so I'm like, well, I'm familiar with that 4.0 engine. Okay, I'll take that. Fuck it. And so that was my welding rig for a while. Now, because I was in College Station, I can say that because I'm not there anymore. But because I was in College Station, as you know, as the name implies, it's a rich territory.
Yeah.
So a lot of wealthy people, a lot of nepo, right? Not a lot of nepo millionaires. And so he had so I would go to these job sites, and I swear to God, I had so many boomers look at my, like they summoned me. They're like an hour away. I had to drive an hour. Eventually I got wise. I was like, okay, look, it's going to be $50 to show up, regardless of if I do work or not. Yet the $50 showing up fee, because I was losing so much money, because I would go to job sites, and these boomers would see my vehicle, and they would just tell me to leave. And I remember I was actually doing a job, and I heard in the background there was some guy, I think he was a foreman or something. He was bitching to some other guy. This fucking welder shows up in a Ford F1. He shows up in a Ford Explorer.
About
and
fucking
you gotta
boomers, dude.
feel-
It's like they will have like the biggest fucking McMansion or whatever, right? Because I had like one of my bosses at my last job, or really last role. Like, yeah, he had the boomer mentality. He was the kind of person that demanded loyalty from all of his employees, but he didn't actually reciprocate loyalty back. It was amazing. And the funny part is that, like, I remember talking about housing cost, right? At the time, and we were chatting about that. He's like got his, like, he's showing off his like really oversized mansion, his new AC unit, and it's like 5 cars and shit like that. I'm like, okay, you know, whatever, I don't really care. At the time, it's like, I've never been of the mentality of hating rich people. I know this is gonna be a hot take, especially since I've got a lot of economic leftists in the chat, and I'll say this hot take. I don't care if someone's independently wealthy of me. If somebody has more than me, it doesn't really bother me, okay? But what ticked me off about this guy, you want to talk about real wage rage and stuff like that, right? I've always been of the mentality, is like, if someone's independently wealthy of me, I don't have a problem with that. I don't care if somebody has more than me if I'm able to make my own way in life, right? But what drove me up the wall is because, like, you know, we got into the conversation about BlackRock and renter companies and stuff like that. He tries to gaslight me, saying that renting is the future, like, in kind of an antagonistic way, and that, you know, that like my generation should be thankful is because, you know, there are starving children in Africa. And I just kind of sit there being like, you're gonna lecture me about starving children in Africa while you're from your mansion, and like me and my wife are just renting a shit box. It's like, how insulting is that? Do you have any, like, what's up, dude?
Hearing something like that. Like, you know, sometimes there was this one time I was eating some food, and like my grandma was like, "Yeah, I mean, you're lucky to have this. There are kids that aren't fortunate enough to have food, and they're in Africa."
And they use that to make everybody's standard of living worse. They push people down the economic rung. And like, this was like right after like the ceiling in my garage collapsed on my car, and I'm just kind of looking at him. It's like, dude, I'm like getting a fraction of the pay for the fraction of the buying power you had, and you're gonna gaslight me about starving African children from your fucking mansion. I'm like, I can't hate you anymore, but I do fucking despise you. I like, and this is the same jackass that was bragging about that he bought like a $500K house in the 90s, and his parents gave him like a 20% down payment, $100K cash for his first house. I'm like, you bought a $500K house as your first house in the 90s, so it's a mansion, effectively. That would probably be like $1.5 million today. And it's like, you're gonna lecture about like loyalty and working hard when you literally come from a Nepo baby family? I'm like, what the fuck, dude? It's like, are you seriously gonna lecture
by the way,
me
I
that?
wanna...
Go on, man. I didn't mean to interrupt your
I
story.
have a... No, you're cool. But like, as somebody with a background in construction, I just want to say, man, like that ceiling collapsing, that is years of that's not like a month. That's years of neglect. Even with water damage, that takes years to happen.
Yeah. Luckily, it was cellulose and it wasn't fiberglass that I had to clear out of the garage because he was too lazy to actually do that. Like, thank goodness. Because, like, the thing is, like, fiberglass is a pain in the ass. It irritates everything and stuff like that. But it's amazing, like, on a civilizational scale, like, how all these costs are just transacted to the worker, and they're just like, you know, deal with it, don't care. It's like, you know, the whole remote work thing. Like, my company did this bullshit where they're like, you get no more remote work wage, you have to show up into the office. The HR department gets remote work, but you, wage, you have to show up and do all the hard work, and on top of that, you have to eat up the $4 a gallon gas cost. And it's amazing is because the fact is, it's like, they'll turn around and then say, oh, well, young people just need to settle down and have kids. Like, with what money, bro? We're all broke. It's like, you literally, like, there's studies that show when people have remote work opportunities, they're willing to work for less, and they also settle down and have families because they have more free time. But they don't care.
Oh, I have
Go on.
Yeah, sorry, bro. I was just gonna say, like, I have kind of the final chapter of this welding thing was so there's a scammer who runs around College Station. It's just that guy with Wisconsin plates. He has a shiny, like, 2018 Ford F450, like, big, but jacked up, and it's like it's a status symbol, right? And like, I worked alongside him, and he's like asking to borrow my tools. Me, the lowly, quote unquote, not real welder, because I have the, you know, I had a Ford Explorer.
Yeah,
and then
you gotta love that.
And by the way, when that boomer, like when that final phase boomer with the, you know, the one who was banging on my door after the 30-hour shift, at that point I was actually driving my more of a, still not a real welder, but a closer to being a real human. I was driving that I still have that van, by the way. It's a 2001 Dodge Ram van, Ram 2500. So it's a 3/4 ton. Really nice machine, really reliable. I've rebuilt the transmission on that fucker twice. Only reason I did it twice is because the first one was an improv. I didn't have money. Then once I got money, I rebuilt it properly. Anyway, so yeah, and it's it has a paint job now, but at the time, when I was running my business, it was just faded, patchy paint. It was a work truck. It didn't have to look nice. Like it served its purpose.
Yeah.
And even then, I was rolling around town. I had this scammer was like we were on a job together, and the scammer basically he would get like these $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 deposits, money that I've never seen from a single job. My best month, I made 10 grand, and that only ever happened once.
Yeah,
like that's how bad it was. And the reason I made 10 grand that month was because we had record-breaking heat. It was 135 degrees Fahrenheit in Texas.
Damn.
In East Texas, so it's like swamp ass. And
so it's actually
welders,
like humid heat, so it's actually will kill you kind of thing.
Yes, it was, bro. I spent probably $100 a week just on Gatorade. I was like literally
because you'll bleed
out
electrolytes in that humidity, man. It makes you sweat like balls, man, dude. It's insane.
Yeah, no, it was, bro. It was so bad that. Well, again, it was so bad that that I was just like I was literally passing out. I almost had heat strokes multiple times, but I couldn't pass up the money. And also remember, I'm a welder, so it's 135 degrees outside, and I have 3 layers of like basically fireproofing clothes on. So it's extra work, and I'm sitting here next to molten metal. Yeah, so I'm like extra hot, This ain't like Fat Boy naked. This is Fat Boys covered in like Fat Boys wearing a jacket, literally.
Heat strokes even more possible is because of that too.
Well, anyway, that's why I made that month is because that's what normal amounts of work looks like, under normal conditions. And the only reason I was able to get that was because every other welder was like, nope, fuck that, I'm not dying, and I'm over here like, holy shit, I have a phone call. I'm like celebrating the fact that I'm gonna go, but it's like, and I had customers calling me up. They're like, oh man, thanks for coming up on such short notice. Man, I've been going up to welders at gas stations, and they're all booked for 6 months. And I'm not saying anything because I don't want to, I don't want to ruin a good thing. But I'm sitting here telling them, I'm thinking to myself like, man, what I would give to be booked for a week. Yeah, that would be nice. But if I'm getting it's like with my fucking not shiny new vehicle, my official, because you're not a real, you're not real. You don't exist unless you're driving a current year model Ram 3500 with the the fucking local sports team on your bumper or whatever the fuck, right? You don't.
I'm legit a Texan welder. I legitimately fucking hate that shit. Like, I cannot stress how much I hate that stuff because it's not my fault. Like they decide to use they decide to drive around in a Subaru that can handle my welding. And some.
Well, here's the thing: is like I was trying to my business strategy. It made sense. It was everything that everybody says they want. But here's the thing: there's a big difference between what people say and what they actually do. And I learned this kind of the hard way by toward the last 8 months of my business, I was literally homeless, just trying to keep this fucking thing alive, right? That's how bad it was. And but I was sitting here, and I was just anyway. So I had this scammer. Forgive me, I'm ADHD like a motherfucker. But there was this scammer running around getting $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 deposits, and he would do just enough work to get that down payment if he had to. Hence why he was asking to borrow my fucking drill bits. I'm like, you're a fucking not scammer, and you're asking me for drill bits, like a $60 pack of drill bits.
I do want to go ahead and say it because we've been streaming for 3 hours. It's been a good conversation, but like in about 15 minutes, I'm thinking about closing off the stream. What do you guys think? I think we've had a good time.
I'm okay with that, but now I can't.
Okay.
I literally
But now I
just
want to
messaged
go on.
you
I've
about
been
that.
waiting.
Yeah,
to go on
I've been getting some DMs, and I kind of
free.
assumed that, like, because we are getting it pretty long, and I don't want to keep everybody's time. I want to keep it within the 2 to 3 hour range. We're a little bit over 3 hours, but like you can continue on with your story. But I think I'm gonna wrap up the stream in about 15 minutes. Ghost Thread, it's been a pleasure having you, man. But if you got to bounce, I'm not gonna hold you any longer. So it's all good. But I'll be closing the stream in about 15 minutes. You can stay if you like, or you can bounce out. Nobody's has to stay. But it's been a pleasure having you, man.
15 minutes, I'll wrap out. I'll stay here and wrap out.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
I hope I didn't turn this whole thing into a.
No, dude, we enjoy the stories. Like, this is the whole point of it. It's like just chilling and chatting. That's all the stream is. It's like, that's what Wage Rage Radio is supposed to be. It's like people can chill and chat and have discussions about the cost of living crisis and then also share experiences. Like, that's been the whole point of the stream. Yeah, that's it.
Your
there's
but
nothing
yeah,
fancy
like,
about it.
I guess to kind of like get to the the life process, the helpful part of this tangent is that's kind of where I'm at now. Oh, by the way, I moved to the oil field because I thought maybe I'd have better luck welding over here. And Google took my business down for quote unquote suspicious activity because I updated the fucking address.
That terrorist allegation is really kind of haunting you in a sort of sense. Like, it's kind of just feeding into a bunch of stuff. You really need to contend that if that's still active.
No. Suspicious activity. That was the welding. That's the business thing.
Okay.
So when you have a business listing in Google, like Google treats everything that's like establishment, like Walmart, Target. They treat that as like a, basically spam. So it's like you have to prove yourself, and it's a process. And you can just Google this. It's a very common problem. Everybody loses their business when they change locations. It's bullshit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's a well-known thing. It's not a terrorist thing. That's separate. But yeah, what was I gonna say? So, fuck. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at now. Is I'm just trying to get money up to get a shiny new truck, and I'm currently waging right now. I actually get paid pretty good. I'm making $30 an hour, and I have a friend of mine that's giving me a free place to stay, so I can just spend all. I've been spending all that money buying new, bigger, and better tools, trying to resupply, re-up my arsenal, and get all the the shiny equipment. All the.
That's
shit
good.
that
It's tough out there,
business.
man. Yeah,
And,
that's really good to hear.
Yeah.
So now I have all the tools that I've been wanting that I need for my business, and I can pretty much do anything. Now I just need to get me a shiny new truck, and I don't know. I'm pretty close to it. I'm about 3 months away from getting that truck, and I might just wage slave for another 6 months after that just to get some capital up. Get about $30,000 worth of just kind of like stock, just basically shit happens money.
Yeah,
and I'll
you got to do what you got to do to get by,
again,
man. Yeah, that's kind of.
But that's my advice to anybody here. Like that's my advice to anybody here. Like if you're poor, and if you're trying to start a business, you need to understand that, it's like Daphne from Scooby-Doo 2 said, image is everything. It's like fucking Eddie from Edda and Eddie said, looking good is what it's all about, Double D. You just lie about the other shit. And that's true.
Yeah.
Also, life pro tip, if you're starting a business, don't be like me. I'm honest, right? Or I was honest. And I fucked up. When I had a customer ask me, so how long you been welding? And my dumbass blurted out, oh, I started this business 3 days ago. Never say that. The correct answer is always current year minus 18. Or current age minus 18.
Yeah. That makes sense. You got to have that credibility. Answer. That makes sense.
Yeah. So don't blurt out the truth. If it sounds like you can blurt out the truth after you've been in business for 10 years. Yeah. But prior to that, if you started this business a week ago, you lie your fucking ass off. Tell them you've been you were competing against fucking like you were welding Abraham Lincoln's teeth. Like that's how long you've been in this fucking business.
Get creative.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
I appreciate. Oh, go on, man. I do appreciate you telling us your stories, man. It's been fun. What's up, Maddie?
Hey. Anyways, can I say something about Alex Carp before the stream ends?
Yeah, go for it, man. Fuck that guy. He's annoying as shit.
I genuinely hope Alex Carp overdoses on ketamine and his pube-headed
Don't get too
ass
fucking carried away, man. This is a live stream, you know.
Oh, my bad. But
Wait,
still.
somebody fill me in. Who's Ellis Carp?
He's the head of Palantir who's talking about, like, he wrote this autistic manifesto where he's basically like, it's amazing. He's the guy who basically said, you know, my fellow blue collar workers, even though he has a philosophy degree, he started LARPing as blue collar workers, and like
I'm
everybody
one of you
like,
guys.
yeah, my fellow
this
blue
fucking
collar
guy.
workers, the HR department says. It's amazing. And then they antagonize all the white collar workers about how they're not really working class. It's insufferable when billionaires do that. But like I could say for a fact and certainty in this chat that everybody hates billionaires, blue collar and white collar working class.
Just admit that you're.
By the way, Alistair, I wanted to add to quick thing on this. To the welder, and I guess in general whatsoever. Right now, there are a lot of boomers who are now selling their businesses, and for the most part, they've found it to be a very disappointing endeavor, and they cannot get a lot of money for it. So you can buy functional businesses for quite cheap, and then you just appropriate the name. You can appropriate the reputation associated to it, so you don't even have to lie. You can purchase businesses that have existed for very, very low prices. A friend of mine recently purchased a company that has existed for 30 years for around $15,000. He's making about $500,000 in sales, but it's a very easy endeavor.
On that kind of related on that topic, do you guys know why I started my business? Do you want to know why?
What's that?
So, I wasted about $300 in gas. Now, to be fair, I was driving a non-fuel efficient vehicle. It was a Ford Crown Victoria. You know, got about 13 mpg. It wasn't great on gas. But I wasted about $300 in gas, just going to job interviews and wherever I couldn't find an online thing. I just drove up there and, you know, tried to firm handshake my way, thinking, okay, it's a blue collar business, you know, because when it comes to construction, you know, anything where they hire slave labor Mexicans, you can actually just go up there and be, hey, you guys want a hand? And like 9 times out of 10, you'll get hired, right?
Yeah.
So it is one of those kind of legacy things. So I wasted about $300, and I think the only one who actually made me any real offer, you know, $300 in gas later, and the only lead was Gooseneck Trailers in College Station. You know, they make the company Gooseneck. They make, as the name implies, the Gooseneck Trailers, and they offered me $16 an hour in 2021 to like weld and cut and do dangerous shit. And
Are you serious?
Just for reference, so like fucking certified skilled labor, $16 an hour is what they're offering. And also just to contrast it, Walmart has air conditioning and they're paying $15.50.
Exactly, dude. You could work a minimum wage job in a retail store and make the exact same pay. What kind of insulting pay is that? $16 an hour for something that is you accidentally like weld galvanized metal and then you like get poisoning or some shit. Like seriously? Really? Wow.
Oh, so I
That's
neglected my ear probe. And so after 4.5 years of welding, my hearing is noticeably not what it was.
Yeah. Arya, you gotta tell your stories about being a mechanic in the future. I'm just saying, man. You got some funny ass stories.
Yeah. Anyways.
Oh my god, yeah.
Mind if I anyways, to elaborate on what I have to say about the whole with what Palantir shat out onto Twitter. Basically, I've never felt this angry and vindicated at the same time before. Like I swear we found the true villain of this current arc of 6.
Absolutely, and my strongest philosophy is strapping billionaires to rockets and launching them into the stratosphere. Like, that's my philosophy right there. But, you know, with that being said, it's been good having you guys around here on the stream, but we are at the 3 hours and 30 minutes mark, and I don't want to keep people longer than they actually are. But it's been a very good conversation. It's been very enlightening. I hope, you know, everybody in the chat could walk away with some information that's, you know, plausibly useful to them, you know, in whatever struggles that they're dealing with a shitty landlord or employer. We'll be having more of these regular streams. I'm going to try and do
important.
Oh, go for it, man.
Yeah.
Y'all need to subscribe to Critical Texan on YouTube. He's a very cool guy.
Okay, yeah, here, let me put it on the stream so we can share it. Absolutely, man. What's the YouTube channel? Critical Texan?
Critical Texan. I think I'm in the chat.
Texan. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I saw you in the chat, man. Yeah. Subscribe to his channel. Go ahead and promo it, or put it in the chat, and I'll put it in the announcements. Absolutely, man. Go for it, man. I usually promo other people.
Also, Alistair, how, like, I noticed you didn't have any, like, super chat thing going on. How do I support your shit?
Dude, just share your experience and share your advice with other people. My channel's not monetized, and I don't really care to, because I don't want to give my ID to Google. I know that's kind of a funny story, but, like, that's kind of the thing. It's like, I haven't monetized my channel. Like, I kind of don't intend to unless I really need to. So, you know, if you want to support me, just hang around and share an experience, man. I'll probably start to buy me a copy, eventually, and I'll just put it in the chat being like, because I don't like the advertisement stuff. I think a lot of people in my audience like the fact that there's no advertisements on my stuff. So if somebody wants to support me, I'll start to buy me a coffee or something like that if somebody wants to donate. Yeah, so.
Okay, I put the link in the YouTube thing. I don't know how to. I'm on mobile right now.
Put it on. Did you send it in DMs or did you put it in like general?
Shit, not put it in stage. Fuck, my bad.
Oh, okay, that works too. Let me go to stage. Let's see. There you are. Okay, yeah, go to subscribe to Critical Texan, man. He's a pretty cool guy. We'll probably see him later in future chats, and you know, I enjoyed the collab. You know, go subscribe to his channel.
Hey, I might be moving to Texas soon, so depending on where Critical Texan is, I might just need to go buy the guy a beer.
Yeah, there you go, man. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, it's been fun having you guys on the stream. I hope to see you in the next streams, and you guys have a good evening. See you next week. Take it easy.
See you later.